Happy Monday, everyone. Happy Monday. Sorry, I'm trying to a couple tech issues this morning because I haven't been here in a few days. So it's been a doozy, that's for sure. So welcome everybody. I hope everybody had an amazing Easter. We made it. Let's just say that. We made it through Easter, guys. We freaking made it. Bunny came, bunny saw, the bunny conquered. Although the bunny, I don't know about you guys' houses, but if you have little children like I do, the bunny oftentimes leaves a giant mess for me to clean up. I am not impressed, Mr. Bunny. Okay. Totally not impressed, Mr. Bunny, with the mess that you left in my home, sir. Okay. I'll show you guys if I can pull it up here. The bunny leaves a mess every year at my house. Likes to hippity hop all around the house. And for the kids, it's great. The kids love it. But his little hippity hopping, he leaves lots of footprints at my house. Okay. He leaves them everywhere, from the door to the basket. You know, he just hippity hops all over my house with his little bunny prints every damn where. So that was a lot of cleaning up I had to do, Mr. Bunny. I am not impressed, Mr. Bunny, with the amount of cleaning I had to do to get all of these off the floor. But the kids absolutely love their bunny prints for when the bunny comes. So it's a necessity, but it's adorable. And if you don't do it for your kids, I say you should try it. They absolutely get a huge kick out of it. If you ask the bunny to leave his prints. Also, I have a couple thank yous. I have a thank you for Lisa and Cannoli. Lisa and Cannoli, her pup, got Dora her very own collars. Now, this came in a 2-pack. This was the gray one. She currently has on the pink one, and it is adorable. And of course, I put the pink one on her. You guys are like, yeah, of course you put the pink one on her, Elise. Yep, I sure did. And so Dora is loving her new pink collar, and it's got a little heart or bow on it that is adorable. And this note couldn't have been nicer. I started to tear up reading it. And this is why I keep all of them, you guys. Like when something on the rare occurrence comes from one of you guys, like this one's from Patty, I keep them. This one's from Patty. I keep them to make into a giant thing for my cork board. This is from Lorelai. I keep them because you guys always have such really nice notes and things to say. And it's a reminder that there are good people in the world and not everyone is part of the sewer crew and shitty to other human beings. And I like that reminder. And this note from Lisa and Cannoli made me tear up a little bit. So it says, enjoy your gift. Thank you for welcoming me and Cannoli into your wonderful community. You're truly a beacon of light in this sometimes dark world. Never forget the positive impact you have on the lives of others. From Lisa and Cannoli. And that meant a whole lot to me. And I also have a thank you to give to Lorelai, who sent a Instacart gift card, which definitely helped out for Easter, for sure. For sure, it was a big help. And so thank you very, very much. I appreciate you guys so much. And when once in a while a surprise like that comes, it's always well appreciated, and I'm more than grateful to you guys for those things, because I'm just one person, can't do it all. None of us can, right? But there's a reason why when I was a kid, my grandmother used to always say it takes a village. And you think about it when you're a kid and you're like, you don't really know what that means. You don't really understand what it means. But as an adult, you're like, wait a second, that makes sense, Like, you're like, wait a second, hold on. That's a thing. Like, yes, it's an absolute thing. It does take a village. It takes more than one person to do it together, 100%. And so I appreciate any and all support that you guys bring to the channel, because I'm only one human being. So, oh, hey, there you are, Missy. Were your ears ringing? Were your ears ringing because I said your name? I bet they were. I'm trying to find. One second, guys. I'll put this in. I'm not prepared. I am and I'm not at the same time. I have 3 email accounts. One's my regular, one's my business, and one is for the show. Like, one I use for like you guys, one I use for like my regular home stuff, and the other one I use for like, you know, businesses and things of that nature. Hey, Arlene, and it's nice to see you, darling. All right, let's see. Why in the actual, you know, the one thing I hate about Gmail is it's completely different on a computer than it is on. Why in the actual hell won't it pop up? Fly? Telling you. My head wasn't attached. Sometimes I would lose it. Yeah, I can hear that. Yeah, it's so hard. And this is why I say it takes a village. And you know what I find funny is, and the whole point of today's show is Justice for the Silence. That's something I actually have on one of my hoodies, actually. Oh, wow. You know, you think about some of the stuff people say, and you're like, are these people really, the excuses that people will make for some of this really bad behavior is amazing to me. You know, that's crazy. All right. So it's I feel like everything's getting, I actually was passing a gas station yesterday, in the car, with my family, and I looked up and the gas was like, it's like 380 something, and I was like, shut the actual fuck up. I don't have a car. But I'm like, the gas is at 180 something right now. Like, what the fuck? No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He did not. He called you a hood booger. I fucking can't. You know what? I'll be that. How about that? I'd rather be that than a con man and a fucking liar. You know what I mean? Like, I myself sometimes get discouraged, right? I mean, everyone does. Everyone does at some point. But sometimes I wonder if there's more that needs to be done, or more that I could do to stop this 420 in Canton. Shut the hell up. That is crazy, dude. That is fucking crazy. And I fear that's only going to get worse, right? I mean, to be fair, I would rather pay the 420 in gas per gallon than have to pay for Uber and Lyft everywhere I go, because that adds up too. But still, that is through the roof. That is crazy. That is absolutely insane. And the Strait of Hormuz right now is being blocked off by Iran, and a lot of the oil and natural gas comes from there. And so, unfortunately, that's going to keep going up until, I don't know, until our country can figure out how to make Iran stop blocking the Strait of Hormuz and allow the ships to get past. Because right now, Iran is just bombing any ship that even attempts to cross through at the moment. And so that's going to keep going up, unfortunately. I don't even want to know what my gas bill is going to look like in the next couple of days, you know? Right? You guys are all my Hoodburgers. If he calls you that, that's fine. He probably also said die in a hole, if I'm guessing, right? Oh, happy birthday to your brother up in heaven. I celebrate those birthdays. My dad passed the day before my brother's birthday, which was, my brother, I don't think has celebrated his birthday since my dad passed. It'd be one thing if like your, mother or father die, like, from natural causes or, something like that the day before your birthday. It's another one, they take their own lives. And so my brother, I don't think has celebrated his damn birthday and I don't even know how long. I mean, he lives in Florida, so I don't really see him that often. But my dad took his own life the day before my brother's birthday, so it's not like a happy day for my brother, But I always recognize that it's his birthday and he should celebrate it, and my dad would want that for him. And I celebrate my dad's birthday still. My dad's birthday is the last day of January, and my nephew was born on the 1st. My first nephew was born on the 1st of February. And then my niece was born the day after my mother's birthday. What are the odds? I know. And my nephew was just born. It'll be a month in a couple days, I believe. And so that was around my aunt's birthday. But you know what? That's fine. As long as you're not one of the cult members, I think we're good. You know what I mean? Like the cult is part of the problem. As long as you're not labeled a cultist, I think you're good to go, right? Because we're talking about dealing with people who could give a fuck less about the people that support them. And that's the part that really gets me. But I'll tell you this much. Meredith has that restraining order hearing this week against him, the one that she got against him. And I can promise you that he's not going to come out of that smelling like roses. All of his lies are going to be revealed, and it's unfortunate for him that he has to keep lying up until this point because there are people who are witnesses to his behavior. I mean, I don't know what he thought was going to happen. He thought by trying to get an order on her after she got an order on him that magically somehow he would wriggle his way out of this one. See, the problem with that is simply this. There are witnesses. He loves using third parties. He uses third parties to harass. He uses third parties to try to make deals. And let's be clear, the deals are not deals where you do this and I'll do that and like it's a good deal for both sides. The deal is you stop doing these things and telling the truth about me, or else I'm going to keep coming after you and sending my mob with dog whistles. That's his deals, right? And so he loves to try to force these deals, which in turn is actual blackmail on people. And I don't think it's going to go how he thinks it's going to go. Let's just make that clear. I also don't think he understands, and again, he can make himself look like a fool if he wants, as he ultimately always does, but he thinks by having his mob there at a restraining order hearing, it's going to show some sort of support for him. All it shows is that these idiots will do what he wants when he wants them to do it. And that includes lying to the court, showing up outside of the court to harass the woman who's got a restraining order on him. Imagine thinking that that's a good idea, especially in Suffolk County. Just saying. Imagine thinking that that's a good idea in Suffolk County. You have to actually be fucking delusional to think that that is going to go over well in Boston. Just saying. This is not Norfolk County where they go light on the turtle. Suffolk County isn't going to play those same fucking games. No one should be going there unless you are actually supporting someone who is being harassed into oblivion as moral support. As moral support. That is the only way you should be going there. None of those people are going to morally support a liar with no morals. Let's be honest here. They're going there in the same way he wants them to harass. To harass, to intimidate, to coercively control, which again, in the state of Massachusetts, we have a new law about coercive control. You can now get a restraining order based on coercive control. That was not possible a few years ago. Massachusetts then enacted coercive control as the definition of abuse because, well, coercive control is partly in the definition of abuse. There's a reason for that, right? Because it is abuse. But that's the main way that he has harassed and controlled people pretty much forever. It is coercive control and using third parties. The problem for him is going to be trying to get around his own goddamn words and his own goddamn behaviors. Because unfortunately for him, these are things he's said out loud, and these are things that he has asked other people to do. And when you ask other people to get in the middle of your bullshit and try to commit blackmail and try to coercively control someone else and who they're friends with, when you're calling people and asking them if they're friends with your ex, when you're calling people and demanding that they no longer be friends with your ex, when you're calling and demanding that people disparage and demand that they say something, taking a side, that is monitoring someone else. That is literally digitally monitoring someone else. That is part of coercive control, right? There is no doubt in my mind that you will get a permanent restraining order against him. It is not going to go the way he thinks it's going to go. And I also have no doubt in my mind whatsoever, okay, whatsoever, that when he leaves that courthouse, he might go home and cry. You cannot ask people to commit crimes, sir, and then cry when they testify that that's what you asked them to do. It's not, you cannot ask people to do X, Y, and Z against your ex or plan X, Y, and Z against your ex. And then when they tell the court that you did it, cry and complain and then try to say, because make no mistake, what he will attempt to do is say, everyone's a liar but him and everyone lied but him, when in reality, we all know these are the same people, by the way, that he praised and loved and was amazing and was on his side when they were blinded to who he was. Once they were no longer blinded to who he was and the things that he did, and it harmed someone that they knew and they realized who he actually was, that it's not just an act, it is who he is, and that there are extreme lengths he will go to hurt someone. That someone right now happens to be Meredith, but it could be anyone. You know, he's been on my jock for quite a long time. He loves to talk about how irrelevant I am while still talking about me. It's amazing to me. If he was so secure, then I wouldn't really mean much and he wouldn't really have to say anything about me. He definitely wouldn't have to copy everything that I do or every part of my life, which is amazing to me. You guys remember how we talked about my wish list being a digital housewarming party? He has now overtaken the term digital housewarming party. And now attempted to use that as if he just made it up and didn't find it stalking me. Right. And so now his followers, as they do as parrots, are repeating it. Well, it's just a digital housewarming party. Like, you can't be serious. And none of them got two brain cells enough to go and check and say, wait a second, hold on. Did he actually copy her? Did he take that from her streams? Like, did he just use that? Like, yeah, he very much did. But none of them have 10 seconds to go and check, right? They just parrot everything he says. So now the new thing is he wants to complain about arthritis that he has. I never heard a word about him having arthritis before, right? Magically, since he's been stalking my streams, and we all know that I have arthritis everywhere, including my fingers and my wrists. Now he has it in his elbow, he says. It's in his elbow. He says he has arthritis in his elbow. It's a little freaky, I'm not going to lie. When you have a stage 5 player that is literally just copying you. If I was so irrelevant, he wouldn't constantly talk about me. If I was so irrelevant, he wouldn't constantly try to find a way to, quote, insult me. The funny part about it is he doesn't insult shit, right? You all were here. A lot of you were here when I made my wish list, and that was from you guys asking for it. Then immediately, once he realized he was going to have to buy furniture, when you move, that kind of happens, you know, you have to buy things for your new house. Like that's usually what happens, except I didn't buy a house. I just moved into a different apartment, right? But he realized he's going to have to furnish all that house, and he's notoriously very cheap. And so he was like, you know what? I'm going to make a wish list. And then since I'll have a few people ask in chat, and then I can just say, they asked me to do it, which is exactly what he did. He can pretend all he wants, right? That it magically was because they asked him to do it. It's because he asked people in chat to say that. Let's be clear, okay? This is the stuff that he does. He knows that he sat there and tried to shit on my wish list. You know who else made one, guys? You guys are going to love this. Will, the Marlboro Cowboy, the guy who tried to go through my wish list and bitch and whine about household items, has now made one himself and says it's totally okay. By the way, we're talking about much larger channels than mine. You know what I'm saying? If I was so irrelevant and I didn't matter and nothing that I said mattered, right? Why do I strike such a nerve? I mean, my fan said so. I have no problem with people making wish lists. You'll never see me shitting on someone for one. People choose to support whatever creator they want in whatever way they want. I am shitting on him for being a lying piece of fucking shit and a hypocrite. There's a difference. If you're going to shit on other people for having a wish list and then make one and make excuses about why yours is different, let's be honest. Wish lists are not different. They're all the same. People can choose to buy something off of it or not buy something off of it. They're wish lists. That's why they're called wish lists. Okay. That is exactly why they're called that. To try to differentiate that yours is different in some way, shape, or form is fucking absurd. It's absurd. And the fact that he actually tried to claim that his was different because his viewers asked him to make one when he damn well knows that's exactly why I made mine is the funniest part. I'm seriously concerned with the amount of things that he is like taking from my streams and pretending to like have of his own now though. Like I'm seriously like, I guess, copying is a form of flattery. Or maybe it's a form of jealousy for him because everything is a fucking competition with him. The problem is he's competing with nobody but himself. To me, this isn't a fucking competition. This is my real life. This is my real life. I am not competing with anyone but myself. I don't need to compete with anyone. And I'm certainly not competing with channels that are much larger than mine. There is no way that I could even put, like, oh, hey, there's a channel with 60,000 subscribers, right? You can't compare mine to that. I'm not that large yet. You know what I mean? The fact that he tries to do that, well, I had everything wiped off my wish list. Good. When every single one of those people later on realizes who you are, and they will, and they wasted their money. I can only hope that they figure out eventually that being part of the mob is toxic to their fucking health and their mental health, and they get the fuck out. That's what I hope for them. They want to waste their money with you. That's on them. They can do that. That's their money. You gotta give a shit one way or another. I feel sad for them because eventually they do figure out what is going on, and when they figure out what is going on, well, then they feel shitty about it. Digital car parties. I know, right? Oh, morning house parties now, as if he couldn't do that in his old apartment. Now it's just digital house parties. His fans said so. Yeah, they said so. You know what my fans say? That they care about people, that they're a community. There's a lot of fucking shenanigans going on around here. All right, Massachusetts got a lot of shit going on. We have a couple state troopers that were given 24 months, so 2 years, a whopping 2 fucking years for using the Mass Save program, which is why our utility bills are so fucking high, for using it as a scheme to get kickbacks and give gifts to get contracts for the Mass Save program, which is, again, why our utility bills are through the fucking roof here in Massachusetts. So we got some ex-troopers that were, arrested, charged. Then we have the 3 troopers that were just charged for the death of Enrique Delgado during a unauthorized boxing event they did while he was training to be a trooper. See, the problem that I have with that is Enrique was so badly beaten that there is no chance in hell that that was a boxing exercise. They can keep calling it that until the cows come home, but exercise, I wouldn't call it a fucking exercise. It looks like somebody bare knuckle boxed with him, and seriously, like, come on, there is no chance in hell that should have ever happened. Then we have the cover up of just en route happening, right? Of all of the goddamn things, of all of the goddamn fucking things that we have going on in this world, of all of the actual corruption that we got going on, why is everybody so silent on this case? Now, a multitude of people, I'm assuming, don't want to take the case, don't want to talk about the case because Justin had some mental health issues. So what? So fucking what? So fucking what? That's a good point. I mean, if I had a car to just drive around, I probably would drive him to school too. It's a good point, Corinda. That's a good point. Well, he's been running out of content. Let's make that clear. And he can use all the clips in the world. Everybody say hi to the sewer turtle. Hey, sewer turtle. I'm sorry you'll never be me. I'm sorry that you're really jealous. that I'm a people person, and I'm sorry that you're really jealous that I actually am a grateful human being. And I'm sorry that you're actually jealous that I have a community of people that cover both free care and read and not free care and read, because I can, I don't know, be an adult and get along with people even if I don't believe in the same thing that they do, because that's, how adults work. That's how adulting works. But I guess you'll never figure that out at 45 years old, since, you do things like this, which I'm guessing is not really adulting if you're spending your time doing this.
Can you please not? I can't go back. Can you please not? I can't go back.
Just saying. I'm just saying. Hi, Rose. It's nice to see you, darling. When I was in the MSP Academy, the DIs would pair someone way bigger to the trainees they disliked. Yeah, see, that's just not okay, It's amazing to me, you know? Gotta love Taylor Swift. Gotta love Taylor Swift. I was just telling someone else this morning how much I love your face. I was just saying, Leah's one of my closest friends, and I love her stinking face. I was just literally telling someone that this morning. But he could use my clips all day if he wants. Get my good side though, Aiden. Okay, make sure you get my good side. Maybe he's upset because I have healthy relationships in my life that he will never have. Maybe he's upset that I have conversations with my followers who then turn into actual real life friends, because you can do that. You can make relationships with people. You don't have to pretend. He likes to pretend. He does a lot of pretending. Lots of patterns of behavior. But he's been running out of it. And I think she did kind of put a muzzle on him. What she actually did was she took from the dark what we've been trying to pull to light for quite some time. Listen, girl, you don't got to tell me. I'm with you on that. I feel it deep in my soul. It's the stressy and depressy cold weather. Believe me. Again, I'm not a large channel. I'm a small channel. I'm always holding on by my fingertips. I feel like I do understand that not everyone wants to hear what's actually going on behind closed doors. What they want is they want to feel like they're a part of whatever it is that he does over there. And to be honest, when they realize he's just a liar and a con man, they feel bad about it later on. They feel bad about it later on. I have no doubt in my mind that what's going to happen Wednesday is going to be quite epic, actually. And if I could be there, I would. I've tried to figure out 72 ways to do it. I don't think it's going to work. There's nobody from my area sort of going there. And unfortunately, I don't live, near Boston anymore. I'm about 25 minutes, about a half hour away in one direction. And anybody who is going is kind of coming from the other direction. So it's a little bit difficult with what time my kiddo goes to school to get there. A, on time, or B, at all, because everyone else who's going is coming from like a different part of the state. So it's hard, but I can tell you this. I can tell you that Aiden's lies are going to backfire spectacularly in his face. Ugh, girl, listen, do you know how much an Uber would be from here to there and then back? Way too much. The amount of money it would cost to Uber back and forth is not in the budget, unfortunately. But I think what you're going to find out really on Wednesday is more that, again, like I said earlier, he uses third parties. He uses a lot of third parties to do his dirty work. And what ends up happening is some of those three third parties will end up realizing like what he's trying to manipulate them into doing and dupe them into doing. And they go, wait a second, I don't want to be a part of this. Like, I'm not going to help you do X, Y, and Z. And so when those third parties ultimately say, well, if someone needs me to testify, I'm going to do it, his lies are going to come out. So he can sit there and lie to the judge all he wants, but there's witnesses, and witnesses tend to testify. Oh, listen, I don't doubt it. I have a appointment with my specialist, and it's close to that area. It's about, I'd say about 15 minutes from Boston, but a little closer to me. I go about once every month and a half ish, and it costs around $120 round trip. So I can only imagine what it would cost to go all the way to Boston and back. But I do not know. I don't think it'll be a 5 minutes. I think that it's gonna probably take a couple hours, because nothing, and I mean nothing, is quick when it comes to dealing with Aiden. Normally, it does take about 5 minutes. Normally, you go in for an RO, and this person talks, that person talks, and done. Not with Aiden. Everything's got to be turned into a fucking circus. So you have to be prepared to deal with it like it's a fucking circus. See, here's the difference between Aiden and everyone else. Aiden can't get out of his own way. He can't stop shooting himself in the foot. He can't stop blabbermouthing, and then he forgets one lie. So then he takes the other lie, and says it, and then forgets that he told the first lie. And so then he contradicts the first and the second lie the next day or a day after or an hour after. And then he's got to do some work to sort of make those lies, you got to spin to make those lies work. And what normal people don't have to do is worry about lies. They don't have to worry about lies. They don't have to worry about lying, because the truth doesn't change, right? The truth does not fucking change. For him, the truth changes with the wind, right? His truth changes like the underwear in your drawer. You change a pair of underwear, he fucking lies. He can't help himself, you guys. He can't help it but to lie, because he thinks he'll weasel way out of anything. The problem that he's going to have this time is, if not Leominster Court, it's not Norfolk County, this is Boston. And they're not going to play his fuck games. Do they allow past acts? Well, see, this is a restraining order, so technically it's a civil order. So past acts do qualify in this instance, where a pattern of behavior, especially towards the person seeking the restraining order, or a pattern of similar behavior against other people, can apply, and a judge can take into consideration what the person who's applying for the order says about all of that. Won't JM be called as a character witness? I mean, I don't know who the fuck would call Jess Machado as a fucking character witness. Character, if you mean like Baby Huey, like a character from a fucking cartoon maybe, but a real character witness, no. I mean, she has no character. She can't tell the truth to save her life either, and that is because she's part of the sewer crew, and she needs him to bring in her income. So, well, see, this is the thing. Well, you have to know, Magic, that a lot of the shit that Aiden does is shit that he's not just done to one person. Let me be clear here. This is a pattern of him doing Messy Jesse, pattern of him doing this kind of shit to people for a lot of time. Quite a lot of time. All right. This is not the first nor last woman that he tried this shit with. A lot of the stuff that he did to Meredith, he also did to Lindsay, and regardless of whether they talked again, which I think is silly, but it's not, up to me to decide what she does or doesn't do. But he did a lot of this shit to her when she tried to tell people. Nobody wanted to listen because he lied into oblivion, right? But, Meredith dated him, and so she, for a way longer period. So she, if she was smart, has plenty of text messages, plenty of phone call records, plenty of records of other people, and witnesses, I wouldn't doubt Aiden trying to bring Lauren or Deanna, because they've both lied to the cops for him before. They've both lied in affidavits before, but that's going to be a problem for them going forward. You can't just keep lying for someone in affidavits and in court without that being questioned for your credibility. And I have no doubt in my mind that if he tries to pull that stunt, their credibility will come into question. They're not credible witnesses. They'll lie for him, It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. No one can take him down. Yeah, I think he truly does actually believe that like everyone online is out to get him. See, the problem with that is that is wild. I mean, that's wild to think that, because you have to be pretty fucking brainwashed to believe that he always wins the war. He fails to mention all the civil suits he's actually had to settle out and did not win. He likes to claim that he's won every civil. That's just simply not true. But he leaves those out, of course, because that wouldn't go with his, narrative of I always win. And remember, he turns a complete loss into, well, it was actually a win because, this is what he does. It's what he does. Messy Jesse's fun to watch like a dumpster fire. It's unfortunate, to be honest with you guys, because eventually we all know what's going to happen. Oh, it's bad. I sometimes don't understand why you have full-grown men that will go to bat for Aiden. You have to remember, Purple Kool-Aid and about 100 other of these accounts. There's at least 20 that I know of that were in a group chat with Aiden, and you could pretty much tell from the amount of simping that they do on Twitter which ones they are. But I know I have the screenshot of them, of which ones there are. And so, yeah, but you have to remember, a lot of this shit is Aiden said so. Okay. Aiden said so is not truth, guys. All right. It's just the way he spins things so that he could try to win. His trial is going to be another shit show. They kind of are paid actors in a way, right? Because they both know that if they don't do what he wants, Deanna and Lauren don't lie for him, that he'll just come for them eventually. And they don't want that, so they'll just do what he wants. It's just weird to me. I understand she's out of it now, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of this is a pattern, and she has a lawyer. She has a lawyer. She's not going in there unprepared. She has a lawyer. There are witnesses. And I just don't think it's going to go the way Aiden thinks it's going to go. As a matter of fact, I think it's going to go bad. Sorry, guys. Oh, Viva La Sanchez. That's all I have to say. Viva La Sanchez, everyone. Viva La Sanchez. Hold on a second. Sorry. Yeah, well, that's, that's sad though. Why though? Why? Why can't people want to lift each other up, right? Why? Why does it, why is there a war? See, that's the part that gets me. For what? For fucking what? There need not be a war, right? I prefer lifting other people up. Well, this is why we call him the sewer turtle. That one really pisses him off because he knows it comes from my channel. So when people call him it, he has like a rage fest. He texts people privately and gets all pissed off. See, what he doesn't seem to realize still, no matter how many times we tell him, is that he has friends that he thinks are his friends that cannot fucking actually stand him. They're not his friends. They stay intertwined with him to give people like me a heads up on the diabolical schemes that he is trying to, scheme, essentially, and who he's planning on hurting next. And so a lot of the times he rages the fuck out. He rages out when people call him a sewer turtle. He rages out when my channel gets donations. He rages out when I read one of these that come from one of you from an Amazon item. He rages out when my super chats or I read donations. Like especially a bigger one, he rages out when anyone, and it's not just me either, but he rages out when anyone not part of his ultimate crew and himself are doing anything at all. It's like, bro, you can't have a competition with the world. I guess you could, but I wouldn't know who the fuck would want to live like that, right? The funniest part is he even rages out when his, quote, friends of the sewer crew are making money on their streams. just will. He actually rages out and gets mad when one of them makes more than what he made or what he thinks should have been his from a viewer that he thinks is his. Well, that's money out of his pocket because they donated to, Ethel Machado or Will the Monroe Cowboy. He has a fucking rage out session and complains in his chats or his text messages to people about it. And it's like, there are other things in life to complain about, sir. Okay? That is not it. So if he sees someone who is a viewer of that he thinks is his and they go to someone else's channel and donate, he rages the fuck up. He rages out when people donate to Mike. He rages out when people donate to LTL. He rages out when people donate to me. He rages out when it's anyone that he doesn't quote like or anybody who could tell the truth about who he is. If we were so irrelevant, he wouldn't have a need to talk about us at all. Not even a little. Well, see, that's the thing. A lot of the time they want to see if you can come to a resolution. But what contract did he share? Because he doesn't have any contracts with anyone other than the documentary. And even in that case, they can't, what I'm told is they can't find anybody to buy it. So Jeff, that poor guy, who put all that money into it, clearly, I guess, was not informed about who Aiden was ahead of time. And so no one, and I mean no one, wants to touch it with a 10-foot pole. The only way that poor fucking guy, Jeff, is going to make any damn money off that documentary is if he turns it into a mockumentary and shows Aiden for exactly who he is. He's going to have to go interview other people who know who Aiden is. He's going to have to interview, victims, hopefully some of the victims, if they cannot show their faces and you want to distort some of their voices. I'm sure I could get a couple of them to want to speak, but no one wants to buy anything to do with a Turtle Boy documentary because it just wouldn't be authentic or true. Right? And I think, to be fair, I think poor Jeff got duped from Compelling Pictures into making it a documentary all about, and I honestly think he was lied to. I think he was duped. And I think he wasted a lot of fucking money on something that was never going to be successful. Aiden burns everything he touches. Anything he touches turns into shit. Yeah, but you have to remember, where do you think Purple gets it from? From Aiden. He takes his marching orders directly from Aiden. You know what I mean? Well, unfortunately, a restraining order is only civil. But she absolutely could argue at this point that since it's been in effect, which has only been, not that long, not even 2 weeks, he has broken it. If I'm her attorneys, I'm absolutely arguing that he has broken it via third-party contact and tried to continuously, coercively control her and harass her and use dog whistles and incitement, because that is what he does. There is no doubt in my mind that if I'm her attorney, I'm arguing that, okay? And if the judge finds that there was a violation of that order, it does turn into a criminal, which could revoke his bail. And then he'll cry that everyone tried to put him in jail and take him from his children. The only person doing that is himself. No one else. You see anybody else getting constant restraining orders on people? I certainly don't have to deal with that. Oh my God, yes, Rose. Yes. Oh my God, yes. That would be hilarious. He would rage the fuck out, Rose. He would. Oh my God, that would be amazing. He would rage out if they cast that guy again. Imagine a documentary. They would just, obviously he did plenty of his own interviews, but imagine that Compelling Pictures has to change it, right? And they have to hire someone to play him. And play the bad, horrible him, and they hire that guy. Oh my fucking God, that'd be amazing. I don't know why they didn't hire that guy to play JLR though, because he looks more like JLR. But it's still funny as hell. He would rage the fuck out, A TV's protege. Yeah, the problem with that is he's not smart at all, not even a little bit. Purple's doesn't really have any intelligence to back up his rage. Not that Aiden has a ton of intelligence, but he's at least smart enough to know how to use dog whistles and not direct threats, Well, that's the other thing. Defamation could be a huge fucking problem. Liability to his victims, right? If you take on a documentary that is just simply not true, right? And he has victims galore, that could be a very large problem for any company. And I don't see any company wanting to take that liability on. No wonder why they can't find anyone to buy it, you know? The document stating what each party would agree to. Example, I agree not to influence it. Yeah. Well, you know what? Unfortunately for him, I don't think he, like, again, you can draw up a quote document all you want. Doesn't make it legal or enforceable. A landlord can write in your lease that you're not allowed to shit on your toilet in your apartment. Doesn't make it legal or enforceable, people. Doesn't make it legal. Does he? Shut the fuck up. That's hilarious. He checks in with him during his lives. Well, I heard that Purple's channel got taken down, so I guess he won't be checking in with him anymore unless it's from fucking Rumble. Hey, Conland. Unless it's goddamn Rumble. I guess that's the only fucking way at this point. It's unfortunate that people support that kind of behavior, really. If you're going to harass and threaten people and use dog whistles, you better be prepared to deal with the blowback that comes with that. And small creators, they haven't picked up on it yet. We are in way worse position than a larger creator. As a smaller channel, we get struck for pretty much everything and anything. And YouTube can take us and will take us down, just ban our channels for literally next to nothing. A large creator could do the same thing we did 75 times and never, ever, ever be taken down. So, you know, Purple underestimated the fact that he's not protected. He's not a large channel. You're not fucking protected, dude. All right? You're a small channel like me, it's not going to happen. Don't use your shit to threaten and harass people when you won't have that fucking problem. It's really that simple. Okay? You can give opinions until the cows come home. But when you're doing it to incite other people, there's something seriously wrong within you that you feel the need to do that. You know? Yeah, we got a lot of fucking issues here in Massachusetts that need to be taken care of. No, I mean, nobody wants to buy it, as far as I've heard, Colin. They've shopped it around a million times and nobody wants to buy it. The real motive was to use it to harass people that Aiden didn't like. That was the motive. That's always the same motive that was for Ray from Dallas. When Ray from Dallas didn't want to do it anymore because of all the heat he got from him being exposed, which is why I think, in my opinion, he was hiding his goddamn face the whole time. He had to have someone else do it, right? And that'll just keep happening. Just make no mistake. You have to remember, you know, Willie and the baker, all these people do it for him too, but just not in the way that he wants. He wants it to be constant, and those people have money to make, so they have to, you know, a little tweak their content. He needs someone like Ray or Purple who would just strictly do what he wants all the time. And that's exactly it, Claude. The motive was because Ray's channel was, so they didn't really have much of a choice. They needed someone. Aiden needed someone else to do his dirty work. See, you're a big boy, Aiden. Do your own fucking dirty work, you pussy ass bitch. Yep, I said it. If you don't like swears, I apologize, but the man is a giant vagina, okay? He's got sand in his vagina. He's always bothered. For someone who literally cries and whines to the cops, he often will sit there and say how corrupt our system is. It's only not corrupt when he gets the result he wants. If he doesn't get the result he wants, it's corrupt. Now, we got a lot of fucking issues here in Massachusetts. State police are under a lot of fire for a lot of different things, and that is warranted for the shit that's going down, okay? I have some serious issues with the Root case. The fact that other people didn't pick this up, other creators didn't pick this up, bothers me. You want to talk about overkill. You want to talk about using your deadly force in a way that it was never meant to be used, then you don't empty your clip on someone laying on the ground. That's just not a thing. Never mind multiple officers dumping 31 rounds total into someone who was bloodied, falling over, laying on the ground. You know, it's just, come on, really. Absolutely ridiculous. But, you know, a lot of the problem is, and I think Sanchez put it pretty good on his Twitter this morning. See if I can find it for you guys, actually. Ooh, shit. Hold on. Okay. Oh, Bitcoin Day apparently today with Cash App, guys. Cash App is saying it's Bitcoin Day. I don't know what that means, but happy Bitcoin Day. Interesting. I mean, good luck on that. Well, that's the thing. Why tell on yourself? Do you know what I mean? Why fucking tell on yourself like a dumbass? Make that make sense. I mean, to be fair, not that these people have a problem telling on themselves, but why? You know, it just doesn't make sense to me. For me, there's a lot of people that deserve to have justice. I also think he's a rat. But there's a lot of people that deserve justice. There's a reason why so many people have been silenced, though. You know, it really, there are so many people who have been harmed by this shit. And it's unacceptable. At what point do we as people start to say, no, we're not going to deal with this? You know what I mean? Like, why? For what reason? If we don't say we're not going to support that, okay, then what exactly can we do? We have to be willing to do something ourselves. If that is a thing, and we have a way to stop the behavior, then why haven't we tried? You know? Because at this point, it boils down to the people who have been, you know, harassed into oblivion, lied about. I think of all the people he has harmed, those people deserve hold on. They deserve help, right? Behavior is learned, you know, it is learned. But I do think that they deserve help, right? They deserve help. What other help can we give? What other fucking help can we give? My best advice is don't support those people. Tell your friends not to support those people. Because when people do eventually come out of the brainwashing that happens when dealing with him, they realize that they've wasted so much time and money. It's unfortunate. You know, I think we all have to contribute in a way. And if we can contribute in a way that's like, okay, we're gonna stop supporting people that do this shit. We're gonna stop supporting this bullshit. We're gonna make sure that people that we know are not going to support this bullshit. Okay? We're not gonna do it. But again, that's one of those things where you have to be willing to do something and not do nothing. Part of doing nothing is part of the problem, you guys. Doing nothing is part of the problem. For so long, so many people have said nothing and done nothing. And I'm not saying that everyone can do something, okay? But we can all do a little something. And if that means making sure that someone like him or the people who help him don't get support from unknowing people who don't know any better of this shit, then that's what we do. I think, let me see. So Sanchez said, all right, let's see. Bullying has consequences. Here it is. Well, that's the thing. It's like children, right? If you don't give consequences to kids for their behavior, they just keep doing it, right? These people are like children. Sanchez said, bullying has consequences. These unemployed grifters thrive on harassment, intimidation, even trying to get others fired. It is time to cut off the support that keeps them relevant. Demonetize these demons. And he's not wrong, right? And he shows Purple Cooler that channel's already gone. Jess, Eden, and really what you need to add is Will and some of the other idiots. But he's right, right? He's 100% right. Viva La Sanchez. The support is what allows them to keep doing this to people and keep harming people, right? In the same way that in dealing with government entities here in Massachusetts, the way that the cops got away with what they did to Just En Route was to hide it. Can't have cops, you know what I mean, doing investigations on themselves. That would be like saying, hey, Jess, hey, Aiden, investigate your own channels. What do you think would happen? Nothing. So why should the cops be allowed to clear themselves? Why should the Norfolk DA's office be clearing when their statements, by the way, did not match what the body cam footage and a lot of the other evidence that I have says? Why? Like, why? I don't understand. Why would that even be a thing? We can't allow that. But so many people sit back and don't do anything. And that's part of the problem is if we sit there and we do nothing, then are we just as bad by sitting there and doing nothing? It's one of the reasons why I said I would never sit around and do nothing. I refused to do that, you know? I was never going to do that. Let me see. Trying to find that going here. I want to go through pictures of this. Some of these are pretty bad. Don't see that. What the? No. Natural health. I'm trying to pull up. Jesus. Jesus Christ. There's so many fucking videos, dude, of what happened that day. Just On's case that they're from different angles, different cops, different cams from inside cars, and the one body worn camera. That's part of my problem is they don't have all of that stuff. Well, that's the thing. You can, you know, you can't you can't try to all at the same time go and report a channel. it won't work. Mass reporting isn't supposed to be a thing that works. The platform won't use it. So it has to be multiple people from multiple different places doing it. So, Jack, thank you, Jack. Jack sends $16.16. $16.16. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate that, my friend. I want you guys to hear how many fucking shots go off here. Okay, this is just deplorable. But if this is your loved one, how do you rectify this? If your loved one is just on, and this is what you find out later on, tell me what you think. Well, they have, Rose. I agree with you that they have really weaponized the whole see something, say something thing. You know, people don't call people's workplaces, families, friends. Like, if you guys had any idea the amount of direct messages, emails, text messages, and phone calls I get from some of these mob members and what it actually says on a daily basis, you would really be disgusted. I mean, it does take its toll on someone's mental health. And you're constantly dealing with the most disgusting things said to you about your family to you simply because they don't like the truth, right? And there is a reason why people will say something and then just disappear and not say anything ever again. It's because they've been harassed to oblivion. It's because they're getting constant DMs, emails, phone calls, other people coming after them, fake accounts, all of it, right? It's constant. It never ever stops. And so you really have to take a deep breath and know that you're going to be underwater, basically holding your breath for an extended amount of time. You have to be someone who's not faint of heart to be able to deal with this because it takes its toll, right? If I stop talking about this tomorrow, guess what? Someone else might not because they're too afraid. I understand this isn't always the kind of content people want to listen to, but I know one thing from doing all the work that I've done over the last 20 years, helping people with things like homelessness, domestic violence, addiction, and about a million other things, elderly people who don't have families that can't help them figure out how to fix their health care or pay their bills online, or don't have anyone to come and bring them bread or milk, or there's or figure out how to file for Social Security when they're of age. Like, there are so many little things that people just simply can't do or don't know how to do, that they just need someone else's assistance on. That might take a few minutes of your time, might even take a few hours of your time, but otherwise it wouldn't get done. Things that people desperately need. I have literally taken in probably 4 or 5 different people over the years who were running from domestic violence simply because I was a stranger to them. Their significant other not going to come looking for them with me, nor are they going to find me. But I wish someone had done that for me when I was trying to escape, right? And people always say, well, there's domestic violence shelters. No, there aren't. If you call and you say, I need help, they're going to be like, we're full, call back tomorrow. We're full, call back tomorrow. A domestic violence victim cannot call back for weeks at a time. They may not have hours, never mind weeks, to keep calling back to try to find a bed. And even if they do find a bed, the caveat to be able to do it is you got to get there. You got to be able to, like, there isn't. There's just not enough help when it comes to that. I know you're talking about them. There's just not enough help when it comes to that stuff. So people like me and I hope other people step in to help and cover the gap, I guess, and that's the other thing, limited time. When I was a kid, fun fact, I was in a domestic violence shelter with my mom and my 2 sisters, and it was one room. We got one shelf in the cabinet and one shelf in the fridge. That's it. It was one room. I slept on like a pull-out chair that pulled out into like a bed, and my mother had to sleep in I think it was a full-size bed with my other 2 sisters at the time when I was a kid, in a domestic violence shelter. And it's not fun. It's not pretty. All the support they claim is there a lot of times just simply doesn't exist or doesn't work. And so, unfortunately, there has to be other people to, fill in the gaps. See, that's the other problem, Corn Dad, is we're talking about the bullying that they do, that they like to claim is defending themselves. The problem with that is you don't have to do anything to them, and they're telling lies about you. Like, what is it going to take for some of these platforms, right? And I will tell you from speaking to Alphabet's lawyers, which is YouTube and Google, they know at this point that there is a liability involved with now ignoring. See, they love to use their system, the reporting system, as some sort of like, oh, well, it was reported, but it was a bot, so we didn't really see it. So we don't actually have a liability because it was a bot that sort of kicked it out. And so we didn't actually see it. So, we didn't know there was a problem. Yeah, no. So they've now got hundreds of pages. Their lawyers have not only been informed directly, but now we've spoken to the lawyers. So now there's a huge liability that rests on their shoulders from allowing this shit to continue on and on and on and on and on. At what point does a company become liable for this? For all of the victims? Once you've been informed, once you know it breaks your terms of service, if I had done any of the shit that Aiden does, I would have been blocked from YouTube a long time ago. Good thing I'm not a shitty person. I would never do shit like that. But yes, no, they find them. They find them. You know what I mean? Oh, you mean have the people who have dealt with it? So a lot of the time there'll be like text now apps, right? There's been like 2 that were like actual people that I could look up. A lot of the numbers are like spoofed numbers where they'll use like text app or text now to like send the text messages and call your phone and harass you, or use fake email accounts. It's, you know what I mean? They do it to hide their identity of who they are, of course, But just between me and some of the other victims, like the amounts are astronomical. I can only imagine in my mind the amount that Meredith has been dealing with, right? Because I know what I deal with. And a lot of times I keep that to myself, right? And it's my burden. I chose to not shut up and not be quiet and not go away. So I, hold that burden. It's my own to carry. But I know what it's like, and I know how many I get. So I can only imagine what Meredith is getting. You got to think about that. This is the shit people don't see behind closed doors. They don't seem to realize. Like when Aiden was looking up in his Google searches that were released not that long ago, looking up ways to scramble your number, apps that'll scramble your number, that was what it was for, right? To harass people, to try to get them to back off and be quiet about him so that he can go about grifting and conning people some more. It's what he does, It's what he does. I am so bad at reminding people on how to do this. But thank you, Jack. Thank you for your donation, Jack. I know you're listening, my friend. I appreciate you. Anybody else who wants to donate to the channel, we are a small channel. We are not a large channel. Thank you for being a member, Rando. I appreciate you, my friend. We're a small channel. We come together to demand transparency, accountability, and the truth for people who have been unheard and overlooked and bullied into oblivion. It's not just a stream to me, it's kind of a mission to ensure that like justice isn't just a word that we say. It's a thing that can actually happen for people, and I do believe that's going to happen this week. I do believe Aiden is going to be exposed for the liar and fraud that he is, even in this restraining order hearing. We dive into the facts. There's a path forward in all of this, but people have to come together to get to that path. So if you believe in the, truth and an independent channel and holding not just the system, because the system needs to be held accountable as well, but people like Aiden who use the system in a way to bully and harass and defame and incite other people against his perceived enemies of telling the truth about him, then you're in the right place. And we're an independent channel, funded entirely by our viewers like you guys, and your donations allow us to keep gathering records, helping people, being able to support them in the ways that we can. And so I ask if you can to please hit the like button if you already haven't, hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed to the channel, and if you can donate monetarily, we would more than appreciate it. We have options like CashApp, Venmo, Chime, and Revolut. We have PayPal, we have a wish list, and in our chat, pinned to the top, is a way that you can donate right there through debit or credit. It's a secure link. You remain anonymous on any of these. But if any time to support the channel, now would be the time. I do have an email. It's twistedtragedies3@gmail. If you need to get in touch with me, it's in the description of the video, along with all of the other options on how to support the channel are also in the description. Make sure you turn your little notification bell on so you don't miss us when we do go live. Make sure you hit the like button, share if you can to friends. And remember, you know, you can listen to other people who don't always believe the same thing as you and not shit on others, you know? Yeah. I mean, see, that's the problem is people don't even know a lot of this stuff exists. And that's usually what happens is I can at least point them in the direction to where they need to go, you know? If he has Jess testifying, that's ridiculous. I have offered to do whatever is needed for her if that's what she needs. Because I don't know what Jess would be testifying to exactly. Jess was not in their relationship. She's not helped any of Aiden's victims. She has nothing to testify to. What's she going to testify to? What her coffee order is in the morning? Like, are you fucking kidding me? What exactly would she be testifying to? You know? That's fucking crazy. It's just absolutely crazy to me, you know? There are a lot of fucking sick people out there. Oh my God, that's fucked up. That is so, I am so sorry, Rose. That is so fucked up. Like, who would do that? You know? Like, that's what I mean. If there is no lines that these people won't cross to hurt you in any way that they can. Believe me when I say, like, there's no thing that they won't do to hurt me. They'll try everything and anything to shut me up. It's unfortunate, you know. Yeah, the box truck in her neighbor's yard that she hates so much. That's what she can testify to. The box truck. She can certainly testify to that. Go ahead, Jess. Testify about the box truck. Ask the seagull she talks to. Oh God, I don't know why she would test. What is she gonna fucking testify to? That's what I would like to know. What the fuck would she testify to exactly? She doesn't live near Aiden. She's not with Aiden. All she has to testify to is whatever Aiden told her. Aiden said Meredith's bad. Aiden said blah, blah, blah. That would be so stupid because what's going to happen is Meredith's attorney is probably going to then ask Jess if Aiden ever wrote any lies about her. Right? And then she'd have to refer back to the Snatch Donkey article. Now, won't she? I don't think it's going to go the way they think it's going to. Your credibility is shot, people. If you're going in there to try to testify for Aiden, just know all this shit's going to get brought up and your credibility is going to be tested. And if you're not a credible person and you're going there for clout and to lie for him, it's not going to go well for you. It's not going to go well. See, that's the problem, though, Freeze. He won't let me ask him questions, okay? He told me that he will only talk to Sparkly or Nina. He wouldn't talk to me because I wasn't allowing him to get away with shit. I wasn't allowing him to gaslight. I wasn't allowing him to spin on that spaces. And so he won't take an interview with someone like me who won't play fuck games and won't allow him to play fuck games. He tries to answer every question with a question. Like, come the fuck on. Oldest trick in the book. Asking a question to answer a question so you don't have to answer it. Trying to change when someone's talking about something and make a point to correlate two things. He stops and goes, but that's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're talking about. No, that is what we're talking about. These 2 points make a point together, sir. You just don't want us to talk about that, but we're gonna. Sorry for you. You know? He is not going to ever take an interview. Yeah. Well, I mean, yes, she called him out and he got an RO. But I don't call him, right? My engagement with him ends by speaking here. I don't call him now, nor would I in any way, shape, or form. So, I mean, he also, you have to remember, used his minions to go into a court and lie for him, including Lauren, to pretend she's so afraid of Kate, to get a restraining order so that he could then get a like, it was a whole planned out thing. Okay, a whole planned out fucking thing. And this is why I say their credibility is going to get called into question. You know, Lauren has to remember that she admitted to people like me, and I'm going to bet Meredith that the only reason that she got a restraining order on Kate was for Aiden. That's what he wanted, to try to shut her up. So if people like Lauren, Deanna decide they're going to go in there and try to get the pat on the back, or they're so scared of being harassed by him if they don't do what he wants, they're going to find themselves looking like fools when they leave. Their credibility is going to be called into question. Have you ever lied about someone before, Deanna or Lauren? Have you ever blamed an innocent person for something they didn't do because you were afraid of Aiden? Well, the answer to that would be yes. They both blamed me for a picture Deanna took and then sent to Lauren. So those questions can be asked by Meredith's attorney. I don't think that's going to go over well if they try to lie, considering I still have the messages from Deanna where she admits it. So I don't think it's going to go over well if they go in there and lie and say they've never lied for Aiden before. Because we have proof, of course, they did. And they've blamed innocent people. So because they themselves were afraid of what Aiden would do to them if they admitted what they did, it's not going to work well for them. All of their credibility is shot, every last one of them, because they've been willing to lie for someone who would piss on them if they were on fucking fire. I mean, to be fair, no one's going to do that, though. That's the problem, Freeze. No one is going to do that, even who's friendly. Look at the friendly advice Mike gave him. To be fair, that's probably the most friendly advice I ever heard anyone give him. Real advice I ever heard anyone give him was Mike telling him, like, you need to, like, stop this. You're punching down on people. Like, you know, you're, like, it's a little much and it's a lot of it and it's not necessary. Like, Mike probably gave him the best advice anyone could ever give. And instead of taking that actual friendly advice with a conversation that he had, right, he didn't like the advice. So because he didn't like the advice, that warranted him going after Mike. And that just goes to show you. This is why Aiden doesn't have friends. He doesn't know how to have friends. He knows how to use people and abuse people, and that's it. Especially after what happened with Mike having that just normal conversation, giving him the best advice anybody could have given him at that point. And what did he do? He turned around and harassed him. He wasn't. He was friendly with him, though. That's the point, is even if not impartial, right? Mike was giving him friendly advice. So think about someone who is impartial, right? If Aiden doesn't give a fuck about destroying someone who he supposedly was friends with and cared about, you think he's going to give a fuck about an impartial person? What impartial person would ever bother? You know what I mean? They didn't have beef before that, though. It was after that. It was after Mike gave him friendly advice. That's when the beef started, is when he gave friendly advice that Aiden didn't like. And because Aiden didn't like that friendly advice, you know, oh God, I know that those people need to just go away. I would not doubt for 1 second that law lady with her daughter shows up with the mob. I wouldn't doubt it for not 1 second, unfortunately. Like, if you're constantly at someone else's court date with your child, I really don't know at this point how you can keep saying that it's homeschooling. Homeschooling is not bringing your child to endless court dates. Just saying, that's not homeschooling. You want your kid to learn law, they do that in college, not in high school. They can do that of their own free time, but if you're spending all day bringing them to different court hearings, that's not homeschooling. Sorry. But it isn't, okay? Well, they play with the system. Absolutely. I am one of the real victims out there, and going into a court to get a restraining order on my visa was probably one of the scariest things I ever did, was to sit there and have to tell a judge with other people in the room what kind of abuse I had suffered. No one wants to do that, especially because restraining order hearings aren't just you and the other person. It's not private, right? So you have to stand there in front of the judge with other people in the room and describe to the judge what kind of abuse you suffered, what kind of threats were given to you for you to need this restraining order. And it's fucking horrifying to have to, you're embarrassed, you're sad, you're full of emotion, right? Because no one wants to have to do it. At the same time, you don't know if getting this restraining order is going to piss off your abuser so much that he's going to kill you this time, right? If he'll even follow it, it's just a piece of paper. Mine sure fucking didn't. And one of my biggest fears came true, which is this piece of paper isn't going to keep him away. No matter how much they assure you that it'll protect you, it's not going to stop a crazed lunatic. So using the system the way that Aiden does against anyone he doesn't like by lying and manipulating the judges and the lawyers is truly deplorable. It's truly fucking deplorable. And it hurts every other real person that needs one. In this scenario, Meredith absolutely needed a restraining order. 100%. In the same way that I stand by Lindsay needing that restraining order against him. And I stand by even Leah needed a restraining order against him. I mean, for Christ's sake, she moved it hundreds of miles away and he still can't stop talking about her. Come on. You know? I don't think she's much better morally at all. I think she's just as fucking bad as he is. Yeah, but it doesn't benefit her to do that anymore, though, Kathy says she's not going to, you know? Not going to. Yes, but they never really had beef over that recording until that moment, right? Until after that, they never really had much of a beef. And I knew what had happened with that the whole time, right? He duped Mike. That's what he did. He duped Mike into thinking it was poor Aiden. This is just a crazy person. He duped Mike into sharing a illegally wiretapped phone call and illegally altered. So that put Mike in legal peril of dissemination of wiretapping. Never mind the fact that it was also altered. Aiden then proffered to the court a altered illegal wiretapping as evidence. I get it. I get what you mean. I get what you mean, but at the same point, I guess my point is even if it was someone who's friendly with him, he can't take any sort of criticism or even, hard questions at all before he goes fucking bonkers. So even if it was someone completely impartial, no one's going to be willing to risk doing that just cause, you know what I mean? I mean, why is that a problem though? Like why does it matter if it's one person interviewing or two? You know? Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Why does it matter if it's one or two people? Some people have 2-person channels. So that would mean it would be 2 interviewers anyway. You know what I mean? He just needed to use it as an excuse to harass. That's what he does. He finds an excuse to say why he's being a douche nozzle, you know? Yeah, you are braver than me, Kathy, my friend. You are much braver than me. I can't do it. Yeah, I think she's just as morally bankrupt. I have to agree with you there, my friend. The peanut gallery. Well, it is technically the peanut gallery. You know what I mean? Couchetta. To be fair, Deidre does an amazing Couchetta series of that poor goddamn couch. That poor motherfucking couch. But I agree, just as morally bankrupt as he is, And you probably won't, Kathy, because I don't think she wants to be around him. It's not that he can't legally, it's that she doesn't want to be around him, and I can't blame her. If I was her, I wouldn't either, Oh, yeah, because if you keep calling, you're threatening, right? If you ask someone to leave you alone, I think it's 2 or 3 times, and they keep doing it, you can get a harassment prevention order no matter who it is. If you've asked them to stop tagging you or commenting to you, like if they tag you on social media all the time, after you've asked them twice to leave you alone, you can get a harassment prevention order on them because they're directly contacting you by tagging your name. That's unwanted, what they call it in the state of Massachusetts, unwanted contact. So, I haven't had to yet, but make no mistake, if I have to, I absolutely will get one of those. You know what I mean? I don't want to waste the court's time with idiotic people who are never going to do a fucking thing but run their mouths. So I ignore people like Boozy Susie. But if I needed to get one on her because she was incessant and wouldn't stop contacting me, then I would. Because that way, when they do break the order, which they ultimately fucking will, they can go sit in jail and suffer the consequences of when you're harassing people, right? When you are harassing people, those are the fucking consequences, I bet he did. And that's what he gets. for being a dumbass, you know? I don't disagree with you, my friend. I don't disagree. A lot of it. I mean, can anybody tell me, did she even send out the clothes yet? Like, did those clothes ever get sent out? I mean, it's been like 3 months since she sold her clothes from her closet and was supposed to send them out to people, but I don't believe that she ever did. But I don't know, maybe one of you could tell me. I'm going to play this clip real quick. This is the clip of what happened to Just On. And if you just listen, it's fucking heartbreaking to think that all of these officers were cleared within 30 days. She still has not sent them. Shut the actual fuck up. I can't believe it. Oh my fucking God. I can't believe it. Oh my God. Wow. Wow. Not for nothing, but here's the thing. She has a car and she makes plenty of money. It took me about a week and a half, 2 weeks to get over to the post office to send something to someone. I wasn't on any sort of time limit, but I don't have a car and I don't make a shit ton of money. If I did, it would have been in the mail in the next day or two. Like, what? There is no excuse on planet Earth she has for not sending that shit when she drives around in fucking circles, bitching and whining about fucking box trucks. The whole 2 hours she spent bitching about box trucks or sitting in the line to get a coffee, she could have spent dropping that shit off at the fucking post office. Like, come on. I can't hate watch. I simply can't do it. I will do it once in a blue moon if there is something pertinent or important or fucking really funny or something I know to be just a bold-faced lie. Then I will play it. Otherwise, I don't bother to watch it. I don't fucking care. They can say, somebody else said this to me the other day. Did you know that he was fucking saying something about you the other day? I go, no, because I don't care. No, because I don't care. I don't hate watch him. I don't fucking care. I don't care what he has to say about me. I don't give an actual fuck what he has to say about me. He should try it sometime. All that man does is lie like he breathes. I don't give an actual fuck what his opinion of me is because he doesn't know a damn thing about me. I'm not a shitty person like him. So I could give a fuck less what a sewer turtle thinks about me. So let's make that clear. You know? See, I haven't bothered to even try to get advertisers or things like that because I'm a smaller channel. I mean, nobody wants, you don't usually get advertising or things like that, sponsors to your channels until you're a little larger and have a little more reach. Then you get them, you don't start with them. It just doesn't make sense that way. All right. Justice for Just On, my friends. Justice for Just On. This is going to be hard to hear, not necessarily see. It's only a 46-second clip, but all the shots are overkill. And I hope by listening to this and seeing this clip that you start to think to yourself in your mind, like, why isn't anyone else covering this case? Why are we not talking about this? Why are we not trying to hold these officers accountable for this? This is over use of force, deadly use of force. This is way beyond the limits, in my opinion, of anything that should be allowed or would be allowed. So I would like to know how the Norfolk District Attorney's Office cleared them within 30 days, and also why their statement didn't match what we found out later on in the body cameras. See how close this person is standing to them while they're firing all those shots? He's laying on the ground. And this dude's like feet away. No, usually like once you're much larger, then you can start like sending out emails and maybe talking to people or businesses to try to get some sponsors or things like that. It's usually when you have a little bit more reach, then you start doing things like that, but you can send, proposals out and things like that. I'm going to play it one more time just because I need you guys to literally hear how many shots go off, how close that this guy is to them firing these shots willy-nilly, which then ultimately ended in a valet losing his eye. Okay, dude was shot, lost his eye. The cops then tried to blame Justin from a gun he didn't have. Okay, and then they pulled the bullet out of the guy's head at the hospital and matched it to one of the officer's guns. So while they're shooting in the middle of a very public place while people are stopped in fucking traffic, they are just firing shot after shot after shot to a man who's on the ground already. He is on the fucking ground. As you can see, he is on the fucking ground. Has no weapon. He is not armed. This is not justified, in my opinion, by a long shot. I mean, they're just firing. Look at these are people sitting in fucking traffic just feet away. Just feet away. And yet a valet still gets struck by a bullet, loses his eye forever. Okay. And in the end, doesn't get paid out enough for it to ever help his family in the long run, because that affects his ability to work forever, the rest of his fucking life. Why are we not talking about this? Why is this something that isn't being discussed pretty much daily at this point, is what I would like to fucking know. Because I am in complete awe of why people chose not to talk about this case. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. Oh, sorry, I was trying to pull up another one of the... So this was... outside camera. I'm gonna get... download. Come on, you can do it, computer. I mean, it's beyond gross. We're talking about firing that many fucking shots at one person who's already laying on the ground. I mean, what more does this person actual? Oh, all right. Yeah, I've played some other footage, and in one of them, I played the officer. One of the officers admits to emptying his clip on him. Let's see. Hey, girl. So this is where they were, right? Brigham and Women's, which is right here. All right. This is where the cross streets are, where they started this whole rigmarole. Okay. Right where he was going in, which is Fenwood Road. This is the building. Okay. That's the street. That was where the first encounter happened. All right. This is the street picture of it with the security guard. There's the security guard. There's Jason's car. Okay. 9/13/07. His vehicle pulls into a 15-minute parking lane. All right. At 9/14/13, he exits his car. All right, gets out of his car. Here's the security guard way the hell over here. 9:14:30, he engages with the guard, William Thompson. So the security guard claims that he called him the N-word, right? That's what he claims, which is crazy. But he had opened his jacket and showed me the weapon that was in his waistband. That's what the security guard claims. Now, mind you, we're talking about a see-through paintball pellet sort of gun. It's fucking see-through. Okay, you can literally see the wires that make it work see-through. 9:17:54, after encounter with the guard, Root gets in his car and he leaves. At 9:20, he returns approximately 3 minutes later and leaves the car in the travel lane. He gets out of the car, right, and stands around the intersection for about a minute or so. That's where it was right there. At 9:21:51, the guards respond to the call from the other guard about a man with a gun. So here comes the other guards here. We're going to respond to the other guy who said there was a fucking gun, right? 9:21:59, as guards approach the corner, he suddenly runs up Vining Street. Guards run away with him in pursuit. So they're running away from him for what reason, who fucking knows. And then he stops and he turns back around. And clearly he's not, he can't, he's like not too smart. These people are not too smart. Cruiser begins making a left onto Vining Street in this photo here, in front of the food service truck. And then after waving the cruiser up Vining Street, he returns to his car. All right. He directs a second arriving BPD cruiser. All right. Now, mind you, this is interaction with him. They don't even realize, right? We're dealing with someone who had mental health issues, schizophrenia, I believe. And part of it was like, thought he was a cop or wanted to be a cop. And it's like, he's going into a mental health building, right? These are things that should have been taken into consideration before they just acted without information, right? The security guards direct the cruiser back towards him, right? He lets them pass him, and basically they go, no, go back to that guy, you know? And then the cruiser turns around. And then when the cruiser comes back, he runs back up the other street. Just kind of running around willy-nilly, doesn't really make much sense, but that exactly is what should have been like, okay, what's going on, right? This is what they circle. Okay, so this is from the DA's office. Like, this is what they circle as some giant weapon that he has. It is a literal, like, paintball gun style thing that they break there at that scene. And he does not even have at the next scene. Okay, because it goes till they crash into his car and pit maneuver him in the middle of a busy intersection. So they're just circling here where people are. He's there. There's a security guard here and a security guard there. A cop. There's another guard there. And so Root pursues the security guard. And this is what they say. He pursues the security guard. No, he doesn't even know what he's doing. That's the difference, right? Stop chasing the guard and turns back to the corner. Now, that's how many times does he run back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Clearly, if he was going to hurt someone, he would have done so already. No? Yeah, no, definitely would have already done so. So it's just like absurd to claim, you know, here's the rear camera door, and it looks like this is, it's either an officer or a security guard, but they're still reaching for their waistband already. Stops at the corner. Oh, yep, that's just on. I'm law enforcement, he says. Okay, well, obviously, if he thinks he's law enforcement, that's a trigger for you guys to know that, like, you need to check on what's, you know, the status of this guy. This is just pictures of the area. Okay, still pictures of the area and down the street where it was. This is the cruiser arriving at 9:22:08. He waves the cruiser up the street. At 9:22:57, at 9:23:41, he encounters police officer Gooden as he reaches the corner right here where we just showed. And then this is the where he sees the cop. At 9:23. And then there they are there. Now the cop's behind his car. Now, mind you, no shots have gone off, right? So if he had a gun, and shots would have gone off. No? Yeah, no. So they're showing where each person was. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Where in all of this time, and this is a few minutes, okay, where in all of this time do they find that he shot at anyone, threatened anyone, other than saying, I'm a cop, right? Which, again, how do you know he's not at that point? How do you know he's not a cop? You should definitely know the difference between a fake gun and a real one if you're an officer, okay? That's numero uno. ADA Dolly made this report. They leave out quite a few things in this report, okay? Quite a few fucking things they leave out in this report, including the EMT that runs up and witness statements of what happened. They leave out a lot of this and try to blame Justin for that poor valet losing his eye at one point, until they realize later on that so this report that they put out does not match what later on is the cam footage from different officers, different places, different things that ends up being released, right? Their report doesn't match it. So because their report doesn't match what we've seen on all the cameras from different angles and the different reports, they take out certain things and don't put it in the report. Things that'll make the cops look bad or look like they didn't do something they were supposed to do are magically left out of this report in whole pieces, okay? Of course he called Connecticut a cut through straight. Want to know why? Because Jason lives in Connecticut. And because Jason is a witness for all of the things that Aiden did against Meredith and can testify to it, he thinks he's going to, go after Jason. The problem with that is it's technically witness intimidation. You know that he could be a witness against you, yet here you are trying to fucking insult him and send your mob after him, calling Connecticut a cut-through state. It's not about UConn sports. It's specifically about Jason. It's because Jason lives there in Connecticut and is a witness against the shit he did to Meredith, poor Meredith. So a lot of people, I guess, reported him. So it's like not just one. A lot of people apparently reported him, and it's like, well, what did he expect was going to happen? You think everybody was like, yeah, great, your fucking content is amazing, just screaming and yelling about a woman you don't even know for a turtle who lies like he breathes. Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do that, right? Said nobody ever. So here's the report. Says report regarding the investigation into the shooting and use of potentially deadly force involving Justin Root on February 7th, 2020 at the intersection of Fenwood Road and Vining Street. Now this is the first spot where they were, right? It says on Friday, February 7, 2020 at approximately 9:20 a.m. the Boston police received a 911 emergency call from security personnel at Brigham and Women's Hospital alerting police to a person with a gun at 60 Fenwood Road, Boston. 60 Fenwood Road is within a one-block area which encompasses hospital buildings. Responding officer David Gooden was confronted by Justin Root, who pointed a replica of a firearm at him. Gooden drew his firearm, retreated, and fell backwards as Root advanced upon him. Gooden fired several shots at Root. Fired shots at him. Once again, it was a replica. It wasn't a real gun, okay? You fired shots at him. Struck him, obviously, because he was bleeding when he got out of the car. A second responding officer, Michael St. Peter, also fired several shots at him. When he saw Gooden retreating and potentially in danger, one of the shots appeared to hit Root. He then limped to his vehicle, parked in the intersection of Fenwood Road and Vining Street, and then fled the scene. Another shot fired by the officers traveled up the street and struck a hospital valet, Justin Dismaris, in the head. So again, they're out here shooting in the area of hospitals and hits a valet in the fucking head. Which, by the way, directly, like I said, directly after this happened, before this report came out, they tried to blame Justin for until the bullet was pulled out of his head and they matched it to the gun of the cop. Only then did they say, oh, just kidding, it wasn't Justin, he didn't have a real gun, it was a replica and it was an officer that shot him. Sorry, guys, I gotta get a water. Part of my heart issues are myocarditis, and it gives me, like, when I'm dehydrated sometimes or stressed out, I get weird chest pains in different places on my chest. And I was feeling one of them. No, it's not a heart attack, I promise. It's part of it. I've been dealing with it for a couple of years now. But a lot of the times it's because I'm dehydrated and I need to be more hydrated. Oh. I should not dribble on myself. Some water. All right. Then it says, here we go. Root fled the scene and led police on a motor vehicle pursuit into Brookline. At the intersection of Hammond Street and Route 9, Root crashed his vehicle. Okay, see, the problem with that is he didn't just crash his vehicle. They pit maneuvered him. Where in this report does it say that the police pit maneuvered him? He didn't just crash his vehicle. They literally pit maneuvered him. Hello? Of course, it doesn't say that in this report. Now, does it? Hold on one second, guys. Hold on. Okay, sorry. They say he crashed his vehicle, but again, they don't say that the cops pit maneuvered him. Police personnel found Root near his vehicle with what they thought was a firearm. The problem with that was they didn't find him near his vehicle. They found him laying in the dirt there with the EMT who had run up to him, and he did not have a firearm. He had nothing. And Root was shot and killed during an encounter with multiple personnel of the Boston Police and Massachusetts State Police Trooper. The findings and conclusions regarding the Brookline incident were the subject of an investigation by the Norfolk District Attorney. This report deals exclusively with the events at Fenwood Road and Vining Street, Boston. The Suffolk County District Attorney commenced an investigation to determine if the firearm discharges at Fenwood Road and Vining Street were justifiable use of potentially deadly force or violated the law, and whether charges should be sought. This investigation has determined the evidence does not support charging violations of the law. Well, I fucking disagree. This report details the investigation and evidence uncovered, findings, state of the law, and conclusions. The Boston Police Department conducted their own extensive investigation. Right, so cops investigated themselves and found they did nothing wrong. Wow, that's a shocker, huh? Wow, cops investigated themselves and said nothing was wrong, including DA's office, who works with these officers. They investigated and said nothing's wrong. So I mean, nothing's wrong when they're trying to cover their own asses, right, guys? I mean, it's just so deplorable to even have to read that out loud. Like, yeah, we all conducted our own, investigations about our own officers, and we found nothing to see here. Like, of course you fucking did. Of course you fucking did. Ridiculous. Then it says, their investigation was conducted by Sergeant Detective John Broderick Jr. and an Area B detective who was also assigned to the firearm discharge investigation team. His investigation was transparent, cooperative, and collaborative. I disagree. Records and documents reviewed include tapes of radio transmissions, 911 call, audio tapes, physical, ballistic, forensic, and crime scene evidence, photographs, information from the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, an autopsy report. I read the autopsy report to you guys. Police reports of earlier encounters with Root, which is completely irrelevant here. Audio and video recordings of interviews, audio and video recorded statements by all police personnel involved, audio recorded statements of civilian witnesses, and extensive video coverage of the event captured by hospital cameras. And of course, once again, the civilian witnesses, they left out of these reports. So that's interesting to me, Yeah, see, that's what I mean. You can't do that, right? This is the problem that I have. The principles of charging require prosecutors to meet a standard of probable cause to believe a crime has been committed, and ultimately that the evidence proves beyond a reasonable doubt that the actor committed the crime. See, that's not true. I'm just saying, when has anybody ever been charged with something where the evidence proves beyond a reasonable doubt that the actor committed the crime? That's the standard to be tried. It's not the standard just to be charged. That's just simply not true. They could charge you right now with some nonsense that you didn't fucking do and have little to no evidence and get you to fucking plea out guilty to it. Because if you get found guilty and you have not a good, if you don't want to leave it in the hands of 12 people who might not know what the fuck they're talking about, even if there's very slim evidence, you don't want to take the risk that they could accidentally find you guilty for something you didn't do. So you just plea out. Charging someone does not require that there's evidence beyond a reasonable doubt just to charge you. That's the standard for a trial. It's fucking delusional. It doesn't make sense. All right. It doesn't, none of this makes sense. That's not the standard at all. That's to charge you. They can charge you with anything, any fucking time they want. Let's be honest. They used to use the smell of weed all the time. Be like, we smell weed, just so that they could look in your car. If they found a knife that was more than this many inches, they could charge you with X, Y, or Z. Like that is not, and never does happen. Yeah, it clearly, but he was going into a mental health building too. So it's like, at what point does a cop not know the difference between a real gun and a fake one? And at what point do you fire 30 shots when someone's on the ground already, bleeding and already had been hit? He could have survived that shot, okay? But he was not going to survive 30 more. It's ridiculous. So he goes on to say what the principals are charging were, what I completely disagree with, of course. As detailed herein, assessment was made of the evidence involving each shooter, their recorded accounts. Oh, interesting. So assessment was made of the evidence involving each shooter and their recorded accounts. Well, why the fuck do you have that many officers shooting at one person laying on the ground? Just saying. Videos that captured the scene and the ballistic, physical, and forensic evidence involving each. Never mind the fact that they struck a civilian and that guy has forever lost his eyeball. This is just insane, okay? Based on the evidence, we conclude that neither of the involved officers' actions were objectively unreasonable. Well, I disagree. Why are you? First of all, what's unreasonable is not realizing that the guy's running back and forth and saying he's a law enforcement officer and he's waving cops through. And if he was going to shoot at everyone, right? Why didn't he shoot at any of those officers? Why didn't he shoot at the security guard first or second time he was there? Even pulling out a replica and saying, I'm law enforcement. Why would you think in your brain, okay, let me fire shots at this guy? If no shots have been fired, who allows you to discharge your weapon and not know whether it's a real gun or not. Like, this is not okay. You can't investigate yourselves, and that's half the fucking problem. Actions were objective, that the actions were not objectively unreasonable. Accordingly, it's not appropriate to charge, and the investigation should be closed without prosecution. Yeah, of course, DA. Because that's the DA thing. So I mean, you should all do that, right? It was plastic, you guys. It was fucking plastic. That's my point. It was fucking plastic. Fenwood Road, Vining Street, Francis Street, and Binney Street form the boundaries of a block consisting of medical building, the Shapiro building, the Brigham and Women's Hospital main building is located where Vining Street meets Francis Street. Vining Street meets Fenwood Road 1 block away at an intersection. Fenwood Road is a two-way street and is wide enough for 2 lanes of traffic in both directions, but the lane closest to the curb on each side is used for standing or parked vehicles. It effectively becomes a single lane in both directions. The intersection of Fenwood Road and Vining Street is a busy intersection with a heavy flow of pedestrian and vehicle traffic. But let's just fire a bunch of shots. That's a great idea. See photos 1 and 2 attached for reference. I just showed you all the photos. The hospital employs unarmed, uniformed security guards whose responsibilities include safeguarding hospital property, enforcing parking restrictions, so they're essentially what, meter maids, and ensuring doctor, staff, and patient safety. How do they do that if they're unarmed? I just want to know. They patrol the area by foot and in marked security vehicle equipped with turret lights. Oh yeah, those lights are definitely going to keep people safe, let me tell you. So ridiculous. The area is heavily surveilled by numerous security cameras, which have timestamps. The video evidence supports the following background facts. Now, again, remember, this does not support what all of the evidence showed either. Yeah, I've showed some of it already. Purple was talking about Jason Burrows. Yeah, because Aiden wanted him to talk about Purple. I mean, Purple wanted Aiden wanted Purple to talk about Jason because Jason's a witness, of course. PK took his own. No, he didn't. He was bitching about it. I think I believe I saw something right before him. He was bitching about it, and he asked people to follow him on Rumble. Friday, February 7, 2020, 9:13 a.m. A man subsequently identified as Justin Root parked a silver Chevy Volt in a 15-minute parking restricted area outside the entrance of 60 Fenwood Road. See photo 3. Root remained in the car for 1 minute, exited, and walked a short distance down Fenwood Road in the direction of Brookline Avenue. Hospital security officer William Thompson in uniform, while posted outside 60 Fenwood Road, regulating parking with a marked security vehicle, was approached by Root, who he estimated to be 6 feet tall, thin, wearing dark jacket, dark blue baseball hat. Root stared at Thompson and came within a foot of him. Root asked Thompson if he was calling about him on the radio. As Thompson answered that he wasn't, Root talked over him. Everyone calls 911 for no reason. Thompson thought there was something off about Root as he continued to talk. Root said the N-word. He said that he was law enforcement and opened his jacket to show Thompson what Thompson described as a clear, colored firearm in his waistband. Clear, colored firearm. That's your first indication that hold the fuck up. And he's talking about 911 and he's law enforcement. You can clearly tell he's probably not, right? Like, that's your first, like, common sense to go, okay, something not right, right? Right. Not to shoot at the guy. So Root wore a lanyard with the name badge around his neck. He continued to ramble on. Do you want to go back to work? Thompson became concerned, so he replied yes. He noticed Root's mood to shift positively as Root replied that law enforcement is good for the right people. Root extended his hand to shake and then went back to the silver Chevy Bolt. Okay. Thompson saw Root stay in the vehicle and he used his radio to call into security. Thompson described Root as having a firearm. How do you not know the fucking difference? Even if you're a security guard, how do you not know the fucking... I know the difference, okay? How do you not know the difference? As Root drove off, Thompson followed him around the block, left on Vining Street, left on Francis Street, left on Binney Street, and then left back on a Fenwood Road. At the intersection of Fenwood Road and Vining Street, Root stopped the vehicle in the street travel lane and got out, leaving it in the street at the busy intersection. Root got out of the vehicle and stood next to it, leaving the driver's door open. Photo 10, I showed you all the photos. already. Boston police received an emergency 911 call at 9:20 from Ron at hospital security, alerting them to a man with a gun in a holster on his hip. In a holster on his hip. Now, let me just throw out there that I know Massachusetts, as we live here, don't seem to like anybody having a firearm but the cops, but it's fully legal if you have a license to carry to be carrying a firearm on a holster on your hip. Nothing illegal about that. So why anyone would be calling 911 about simply having it on your hip is beyond me. People in Massachusetts need to A, fucking mind your own business, and B, realize that we do have these things called amendments, and we do have the right to have a firearm, okay? Written into our Constitution and all. We have that right. I actually saw a video recently of a guy who had his firearm on his waist in his holster, and a cop stopping him walking down the street simply for having it. And the guy was like, did I do something illegal? Are you detaining me for a crime? Then I'm going to be free to go. Just having this alone is not a reason to stop me. It is not a crime. I have a license, and I'm going to be going now. So the cop was like, no, basically told him no, he wasn't, and that he was going to hand over his weapon. And the guy was like, no, I'm not. You can call in your higher ups. And the higher up had to come and be like, yeah, no, you can't just stop him just for simply having one. Like, you have to let him go. Like, that's not a thing, okay? Simply having one does not require you to stop someone for any reason. They could have a license for it. That's not a crime. It's not a crime to have one on your hip. Never mind the fact that it's a plastic fake gun, okay? A description was given as that of a white male, cap, black jacket, gray pants, shirt, and shoes. Officer Gooden responded in his police cruiser and arrived within a minute. Officer St. Peter responded in his police cruiser and arrived within a minute. The actions of each officer of discharging his firearm were examined separately. The actions, observations, and thought process of civilian witnesses and security personnel are included for perspective. Yeah, they're not all, though. Officer David Gooden's statement. Gooden was on duty when he heard the radio alert that a man pulled a gun on the valet at Brigham and Women's Hospital, but that's not what happened. He asked for the call to be repeated and responded in short time. At the intersection of Fenwood Road and Vining Street, he took a left on Vining Street up to Francis Street, where he saw Hospital Security Sergeant Troy Askew, whom he knew. Askew informed him, the guy just pulled a gun on me, and pointed to Root, who was standing back at the intersection of Fenwood Road and Vining Street. Gooden circled the block back to the intersection. There he observed a silver Volt parked in the travel lane, driver's door open. He parked to the left of the car. He heard a witness alert him that someone is shooting up there. They have a gun. I don't believe that to be true. I did. I talked about it this morning, and I said your note was so nice. It made me cry. I haven't seen the email yet, but I have to look. I haven't looked at the emails yet. But she's wearing the pink one right now. She looks very fancy. She looked very fancy. I thank you and Cannoli very much. That was very nice of you. I was worried she was going to try to take it off the first time she had it on, but she looks adorable. She's got a little pink collar on, and she was giving herself a bath this morning, and it wasn't bothering her. So I was like, perfect. So it's adorable. So it says that a random person basically said he heard a witness alert him that someone is shooting up there. They have a gun. Gooden proceeded on foot for a few steps when he saw Root in a black jacket and black pants running down Vining Street sidewalk to his position. Root yelled twice, "I am law enforcement. Go up there," indicating up Vining Street to the Francis Street intersection. Gooden saw a firearm Root's waistband and looked for, but did not see a badge. Root was within 3 feet of Gooden when Root pulled the firearm from his waist and pointed it at him. Okay, see, at this point, no firearm had been pointed at anyone, but that was already claimed to have happened before it actually happened. Gooden drew his firearm and yelled, "Drop the gun." Root continued to point the gun at Gooden, so Gooden fired his weapon. He thought that Root was going to kill him. Oh, he's going to kill him with a fake gun? Interesting. Root still had the gun out, so Gooden attempted to create some space between them by backing up, but fell over the curb and onto his back. He thought to himself to get up or he will kill you. Once on his feet, he saw Root right on him. What I would would wonder here as well is, why is someone writing a statement for him? Why isn't his statement included here? Because what I'm seeing is the DA wrote it for him instead of like, this is what he said, and is just writing it instead of actually just putting in what the statement was. Gee, I wonder why that is. I could give you a few reasons. Once on his feet, he saw Root right on him. Gooden attempted to discharge his firearm, but it jammed, so he ejected the magazine. He didn't have another magazine nor a radio because it had fallen to the ground, so he picked up the ejected magazine and reinserted it. Root went to the vehicle. Gooden could not fire again. He didn't have a good shot, and he didn't want to risk a shot as there were too many people nearby. Well, you already did that, bud, and someone did get struck. He heard several shots being fired and believed Root was shooting. Gooden was unaware that Officer St. Peter was on scene and firing at Root. So this is somehow his fault, right? This is Justin's fault, Justin's fault somehow, because this officer doesn't know that this officer is shooting. So he just assumed that this person is shooting at him, and so it's totally okay to just keep shooting, you know? Because, you know, cops aren't supposed to, like, talk about what's happening or anything. So it's totally okay if the cop just says, well, I thought he was shooting at me, but it happened to be another cop. So, like, you know, if I shoot and kill someone, fuck it, who cares? I mean, this is insane. Even the way this is written, for anybody to be like, oh, this was totally okay. Like, no, the cops fucked up. And someone's life is now over because of it. This is not like, oh, well, another officer was shooting at him, so I assumed it was him and therefore was going to, you know, shoot some more. I mean, that's fucking bonkers. That this is like explained away in that way to me. Like, oh, he thought it was just on and didn't know there was another officer there shooting, so he just assumed it was just on shooting at him. As if that's a good reason to I can't. I fucking can't. Root went to his vehicle. He couldn't fire again, blah, blah, blah. He heard several shots being fired and believed Root was shooting good and was unaware that Officer St. Peter was on scene and firing at Root. Root hobbled past him to his car and left the scene. Imagine that, without firing any shots of anything, because he didn't have a real gun. Gooden went to his cruiser and alerted the dispatcher that he was involved in a shooting. I shot him. I know that I shot him. Gooden then joined the pursuit to Brookline. Gooden did not recall the number of times he discharged his firearm. Ballistics evidence reflects he discharged 5 times. Officer Michael St. Peter. St. Peter was working a detail at the hospital and arrived with his K9 at between 9:15 and 9:20. Within a minute, he was approached by hospital security on Vining Street and advised that a man had flashed a gun when asked to move his car. Sounds like 2 different stories here. He then heard the radio 911 alert of a person with a gun. Up at the Francis Street intersection, he saw a person waving to get his attention. As he drove up to that position, a screw directed him back to the Fenwood Road intersection, and he saw Root holding a firearm in his hand, walking on Vining Street sidewalk toward Fenwood Road. He turned his cruiser around, drove back down Vining Street, and parked in the middle of the intersection. He then saw Root chasing Askew up Vining Street before coming back down the street towards the intersection. Root was walking on the Vining Street sidewalk with a firearm in his hand. He saw Root pointing the gun at someone in a struggle. There was no struggle. He was not aware that Gooden was on scene or who was engaged with Root. There was no struggle, though. There was no struggle that happened. Like, what the fuck? St. Peter drew his firearm and yelled, "Drop the gun," twice. He was still unaware that Root was struggling with another officer, Gooden. So you couldn't see him, but I don't understand. First of all, there was no struggle. The officer backed up and then tripped. There was never a struggle between the 2 people. There was never a fight or a struggle in any way, shape, or form. So I don't know why they keep saying a struggle. There was no struggle that happened. So what do you mean he was unaware that Root was struggling with another police officer? There was no struggle at all. He heard shots fired, so he discharged his weapon because of the danger involved, and he thought people were going to die. Oh, so he just discharged his weapon in a very heavily trafficked area because, you know, I just thought people were going to die, so I'm just going to discharge it. I can't see that he's with another officer. Can't see that, but I'm just going to fire. If you can't see him and you can't see the other officer, which is what it sounds like, because if you're going to say there's a struggle and you didn't know he was with another officer, then how do you How do you fire shots at someone you can't see or don't know where they are? Because if you know where they are and you can see them, then how would you not know that there's another officer right there? I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. You saw a man down and a radio on the ground. A man? You saw a man. You didn't see an officer in an officer uniform. You just saw a man down and a radio on the ground. That's it. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm not buying this. You saw Root grimace and limp, but Root still had the firearm. There were people close by, so he didn't discharge again, but continued to yell to drop the gun. There were people close by the entire time, and you had no problem firing. Root limped to a car, got in, drove away. St. Peter didn't shoot at the moving car. St. Peter then joined the pursuit to Brookline. St. Peter didn't recall the number of times he discharged his firearm, but ballistics evidence reflect he discharged 10 times. 10 fucking times he shot in a heavily trafficked area with people everywhere, in cars, on foot. It's a hospital area, and you discharged that weapon 10 times. What the fuck are we doing here? After Thompson's encounter with Root, Root circled the block back to the intersection of Fenwood Road and Vining Street, leaving the vehicle parked in the travel lane with the door open and standing in the intersection. Security guards, Askew and Neelas, were responding to Thompson's radio calls and were walking from Francis Street down Vining Street. Root yelled at them, "What the fuck are you looking at?" Root then removed a silver gun from his waistband. And so, okay, so it's silver now. You guys remember it was see-through earlier. Now it's silver. Charged up the middle of Vining Street at the security guards. The guards fled back towards Francis Street. Root stopped halfway up Vining Street and put the firearm back in his waistband. He returned to the intersection of Fenwood Road and Vining Street as Gooden's Boston police cruiser arrived at the intersection. Root approached the cruiser and waved up towards Francis Street as if he were directing attention away from himself. Clearly, that's not what he was doing because he had schizophrenia. Thought he was helping, obviously. See photos 15 and 17 for reference. Gooden then circled the block. St. Peter's cruiser was traveling up Vining Street when Askew, whom Root had just chased seconds before, intercepted him and directed him to Root. When Root saw Askew directing the cruiser to his position, he chased Askew for a short distance, again up Vining Street with a gun in his hand before turning and walking on the sidewalk in the direction of the Fenwood Road and Vining Street intersection. After circling the block, Gooden arrived at the intersection and parked his cruiser to the left of Root's vehicle facing the same direction. He walked on the Fenwood Street sidewalk for a few paces when he encountered Root coming from the opposite direction of the sidewalk of Vining Street. Root's right hand was on the gun in his waistband. Gooden removed his firearm. Root said that he was law enforcement and pointed up Vining Street in the same manner he had done so as to misdirect officers. He's not misdirecting anyone. He has schizophrenia. Like, are you guys for real? Root had his hand on the firearm in his waistband. Again, not a real firearm, and it's been 2 different colors now in this report. Root turned his back to Gooden, where he pointed up the street. When he turned back to Gooden, he drew the gun from his waist and pointed it at Gooden. He then simulated firing at Gooden while advancing on him. Gooden retreated and fell over backwards as Root continued to advance at him. Gooden discharged his firearm in Root's direction. St. Peter discharged his firearm in Root's direction. Root limped to his vehicle and fled the scene. Simultaneously with Gooden's struggle with Root, they keep using the word struggle. There was no struggle, by the way. They never made contact physically with one another. So I don't know why they keep using the word struggle. There was no struggle. And again, this is part of why this doesn't match the evidence. There was absolutely no struggle. Simultaneously, with Gooden's struggle with Root, Justin Dismaris, a valet stationed outside the Brigham and Women's Hospital entrance at 75 Francis Street, was shot in the head. The hospital entrance is a short distance from the intersection of Fenwood Road and Vining Street. William Thompson. After Thompson's earlier encounter with Root, he followed him around the block back to the intersection when he saw Root leave the vehicle in the intersection in the travel lane with the driver's door left open. He next saw Root run after Askew and Nellis up Vining Street, so Thompson took cover near the rear entrance to the Shapiro building at the intersection. After the second chase, He saw Root walking back down Vining Street to his position. He heard a police officer Godin tell Root to drop her weapon. He then saw Root take a firearm from his waistband and point it at Godin. He estimates that they were 4 feet apart. He then heard what he estimates to be 3 shots fired. He saw the officer fell to the ground and Root standing over him. Well, that's because he tripped and fell. He then heard what he estimates were 5 or 6 more shots fired. He saw that Root was injured. He was hunched over and limping. Thompson took cover and lost sight of Root. He never saw Root drive away. Here's the hospital security sergeant. Then they were it's the same thing. It ran Root at him, and security officer Lawrence Neelitz. Root was yelling, "I am going to shoot you." He's the only one who claims that was ever said, by the way. What are you looking at? No one else ever claims he said, "I'm going to shoot you." This guy's the only guy who says that. A Boston police cruiser, which was Godin, arrived, and he informed him the situation and pointed to Root. Root started to chase up Vining Street at him again. Saw that Root continued to have the gun out. He then heard Godin yell to put the weapon down. He then heard what he estimated to be 7 to 10 shots fired. He took cover. McMullen is a security officer for the Department of Mental Health at 20 Vining Street. From his vantage point, which he estimates to be 30 or 40 yards away, he saw Boston police near the intersection and heard yelling, "Put the gun down." He saw Root with a firearm. He thought that Root fired a number of times from a distance of 5 feet away from the police car and 15 to 20 feet from the officer. He heard police return fire. He then saw Root hop through the intersection to his car. Yep, see, the problem was he didn't fire anything. The 2 officers fired, and he didn't have a gun, so you can't fire a weapon that isn't a weapon. And they black out the doctor's name, is a brain surgeon at the hospital. She was stopped in her blue Porsche. Oh, her Porsche, at the intersection of Fenwood and Vining Street. She saw a Boston police cruiser with flashing lights traveling on Vining Street to Francis Street, followed by a security vehicle that stopped at the intersection. She saw Root emerge from behind a truck on Vining Street. Root had a gun that she estimates was longer than a pistol, firing 3 to 5 times at officers. Except he didn't fire anything. They didn't have a real gun. So this is how witness statements get all fucked up when a witness thinks they heard something, or an officer asks them a leading question. He didn't fire anything because he didn't have a real gun, guys. So she estimates was longer than a pistol, firing 3 to 5 times at officers. He never fired anything at officers. Officers exchanged fire with what she estimates were 5 shots. There were no shots. All 15 shots came from the cops' guns. She thought that Root and Godin both went down. After a brief pause, another officer fired several times. She then saw a plainclothes officer with his gun out on Vining Street. She then maneuvered her vehicle through the intersection and left the scene. This is just a random person saying they were walking, saw a car in the travel lane and him standing next to it, and she heard him yell and pull a big army gun out. That's what she called it, a big army gun. Now it's an army gun. First it was see-through, then it was silver, now it's a big army gun. When she saw 2 security officers running away up Vining Street, she ran into the Shapiro building and took cover. What she estimates to be 5 minutes later, she heard 5 gunshots. This person was walking on the street near the intersection when she saw him and heard him yelling. She then saw a number of police. She saw Root pull out a gun from his pants. She heard yells of "put the gun down." He heard what she estimates to be 5 shots and saw Root standing over the officer on the ground. She then ran into the Shapiro building for cover. So the problem is everybody assumes that he shot the cop and that's why the cop fell over. Not that the cop tripped on his own fucking feet, which is what we see in the video. Well, that's the other thing. The security guy was familiar with him. He's been a patient there for a while. So they apparently were familiar with him. So you would know that he was schizophrenic. Common sense, This person was walking on the intersection at Fenwood Road. She saw Root standing by his car with the door open, holding a, quote, large gun, pointing at security guards and chasing after them up Vine Street. She ran into the Shapiro building for cover. What she estimates were 4 to 6 shots fired. Now, they keep saying that he was chasing them. What I believe, having worked with people who are schizophrenic, good morning, is that he wasn't chasing them. He thought he was helping them, right? He thought he was a part of the crew, right? So he's running towards them to catch up to them. and what they perceive is to be chasing him. In his mind, he is an officer, right? Again, schizophrenia. He's an officer, so he needs to catch up with these guys and talk to them because they're officers, right? Or security, which look like officers. So, like, in his mind, he needs to catch up with them and talk to them about whatever is going on that he needs to help deal with. That's why you see him sort of, you know, when the police cars arrive, sort of waving them up and waving them back. And he's trying to be a part of all of it. He's not chasing them. He's not trying to shoot at anyone. He wants to be in on the action because in his mind, okay, in his mind, he is an officer. He says it numerous times. I'm law enforcement. And this is what happens when you have mental health and untrained officers or security guards dealing with someone who has mental health issues, is they have no fucking idea what's going on. They don't communicate with each other. And then you have a shit show like this that happens at someone who has mental health issues. They're the ones who ultimately lose. They lose their life. They're the ones who lose their life. The officer's mistakes end up being a loss of life for the person with mental health concerns and issues. Okay? If you're going to have security guards outside of the fucking hospital, they should be trained enough to know what the fuck a fake gun is versus what a real gun is. What a paintball gun is versus what is a fucking pellet gun and a BB gun and what they look like. They come, I have one that looks like a shotgun. I have one that looks like a handgun. They're BB guns. Okay? But they're plastic. There's a big fucking difference. They're plastic. I love the sparkle. Like, come the hell on. This is another person who saw him running up Binding Street with a gun in his hand. He then saw him return to his vehicle. And he saw Root fire 4 to 5 times at what he believed were security personnel. Now, this is the second person who claimed they saw him, quote, fire 4 to 5 rounds. Except he didn't fire anything. There's nothing to fire from. He didn't fire anything from his plastic weapon. So again, this is the problem with eyewitnesses, is they don't always know what the hell they're talking about or what they supposedly saw, right? Because neither of them saw him fire anything. It's what they assumed because one officer's over here firing and another officer's over here firing, and this guy doesn't know that this other officer was over here firing because, well, they're not the same officers. I'm assuming one's a Boston police, one's state police maybe, but there's nothing happening over radio that either one of them know what the fuck is going on, you know? It's ridiculous. Yeah, Quincy does a large area too. Like in the South Shore, you might have Weymouth or Quincy do like multiple towns surrounding them as well, Rando. That's kind of how it happens in smaller towns too. Is like a bigger town will take over for like the smaller towns surrounding if the smaller town doesn't have that. But again, the gun had a plastic cover. Security fired back. Root then limped to his vehicle and drove off. This person thought it was 8:50 a.m. when he heard a radio call of gun shooter walking down Vining Street, which isn't possible, of course. From approximately 75 feet away, he saw Root walking near 60 Fenwood Road. An officer walked Root's direction up Vining Street. He saw Root open his jacket and he could see a gun. The officer was screaming at him. Root pulled the gun and shot at the officer from 5 feet away, which didn't happen. So-and-so went into the building lobby and announced active shooter. So-and-so thought Root's firearm looked like a .45 caliber. Oh, now we have experts in fake guns. Interesting. Interesting. I can't. So they black out the people's names on this. So-and-so was in his vehicle and stopped at the intersection. Hey, girl, listen, I barely made it through this goddamn holiday. I'll tell you that much. I'm happy to be through the holiday, but at the same time, I'm still in my own stressy and depressing mode, I guess. That's what we call it. No worries, my friend. No worries. You're totally right, though. Oh, my grandmother was an RN. God rest her soul. My grandmother was an RN. Does God's work, you know? Yeah, and that's the other thing. Part B, Part A or Part B to know which one what to get. He did have a YouTube channel as well. Yeah. So then we have this person who was in a vehicle stopped at the intersection. He saw a car parked opposite his. He saw Root with a firearm out near 60 Fenwood Road. He saw Root then run up Vining Street, then back to the intersection to engage in a shootout with police, which again didn't happen, by the way. He saw Root and the officer both go down. That also did not happen. Justin never went down there at all. He saw Root go to his vehicle. He thought the gun was a 10 to 12-inch handgun. Interesting. So-and-so used his cell phone to take pictures of Root with the gun. He also used his cell phone to video the police engaging Root. The photo and video will be discussed in further context. Discussed? Well, why can't we just see it, So-and-so, I think this is Doctor, because it's got a D, Doctor something, was in her vehicle, stopped at the intersection of Fenwood Road and Vining Street. Doctor so-and-so saw Root run into the intersection shooting. Once again, this is the fourth or fifth person that claimed he was shooting. She heard shots, was not certain of the number. So because they heard shots, they ultimately assumed in their own minds, these quote witnesses, that Justin was shooting. Problem with that is Justin wasn't shooting, it was the two officers. The two separate officers that didn't know magically that each other were there, even though they're feet apart. They magically don't know each other are there, and they're both shooting. And so these quote witnesses automatically assume that, Justin was the one shooting. So then you have more people here, claiming that they heard shots, security vehicles and police cars. He saw the exchange of shots. He saw something in Root's right hand as he limped to a vehicle and drove away. He saw the evidence left in the street, specifically a radio, a baton, 2 magazines, and bloodstains. This person says they were on the hospital bridge, heard 4 to 5 pops, looked out a window and saw a vehicle driving away very fast towards Huntington Ave. This person operates security cameras for the hospital and was parking his vehicle on Fenwood Road when he saw officers approach the intersection. He saw Root dressed in all black, except he wasn't dressed in all black, pull out strange-looking large firearm. He heard yells to stop. He saw Root fire and the officer fall to the ground. Yeah, see, the problem with that is we have the video. And Justin doesn't fire anything because he doesn't have a real gun, and the officer trips over his own feet and falls. Is what happens. So again, they assume by hearing a shot that was coming from the officer that Justin must have fired at him, and that's why he fell to the ground. That's where these witnesses' minds automatically went. So now they actually believe in their mind that they saw him shoot at the officer and the officer fall, when in reality, that's not what really happened at all. This is the problem with eyewitnesses, is eyewitnesses can be wrong. They can point out someone who didn't actually do anything wrong, It's not a thing. It's not a freaking thing. Pedro Hernandez is a hospital security officer, another security officer. How many security officers are gonna, Hernandez was legally carrying a Glock 9mm with 9 rounds. Now, just to be clear here, the hospital security officers are not equipped with guns, nor are they supposed to be carrying them. So why, even if he has a license, is he legally carrying a Glock 9mm at work? Just asking. Just asking, He next saw a police officer with a gun out. He parked his vehicle. He saw Root in a gray jacket with a gun out. He heard shots and saw Root go to a vehicle in the intersection. The shots sounded different. He then helped safeguard the scene and evidence at the intersection. He didn't shoot anything. They sounded different. Interesting. Then they have to, of course, say that he was legally carrying a Glock 9mm with 9 rounds. He stated he did not discharge his weapon. Ballistic analysis of the weapon and discharged shell casings at the scene confirms his statement. Then there's a detective for hospital security, Kyla Nieder. She heard the transmission and the need for assistance. She watched the video. Okay. And then she put the description out of it. Cool. She then watched the camera in real time and saw him at the intersection of Fenwood Road and Vining Street. She saw a firearm in his right hand. She heard security personnel say he was shooting at the Boston police and chasing us. She then announced that the hospital was to be locked down. She learned that a hospital valet at 75 Francis Street had been shot, so she went and secured that scene. Yeah, he was shot by one of the cops. Octavia Simmons is another hospital security officer. It's at triage area of the hospital when he heard a radio transmission of man with a gun. Then heard shots fired and saw the valet lying on the ground outside the hospital entrance bleeding from the head. He estimated he heard 4 to 5 shots. Same thing here. Heard radio shots fired. He saw the valet on the ground. This is the sergeant with the Department of Mental Health Police at the intersection of Fenwood. His observations for 20 yards away. Root was yelling to the police, "That's him," twice. He then saw Root pull something out. Security agent run back up the street towards Francis Street. He could see Root in the intersection with a gun in his belt. Royer thought to himself, this man looked a lot like DMH client whom he knew as Root. He then saw Root point the gun at a police officer and fired. The officer went down. See, that's the thing that didn't happen. He didn't fire at the officer and the officer went down. The officer tripped on his own damn feet. The officer returned several shots. A second officer fired several shots. Root stumbled. The officers were yelling to drop the gun. He then went to his car and left the scene. Root said the firearm looked homemade, grayish, and tubular. Did not look real, almost like a toy. From 20 yards away, he could tell it's a toy, but no one else can. Trained officers can't tell it's a toy. Security can't tell it's a toy. But this guy, he can tell from 20 yards away that it's a toy. Oh, man. Described the man as 6 foot 3 inches tall with a thin build, short hair, and a baseball cap on beige sweater. Burn news broke because of an incident 10 years ago when Root had a, quote, fake gun at Shattuck Hospital. They had to section him. Police may think Root's firearm to be real and have to shoot him, which is what they did. There's another valet. Oh, this is the guy that got shot. He was employed as a valet and was assigned to the main plaza area on Francis Street. The main plaza area is covered, outdoor pickup and drop off. I don't know why they blacked out his name because they already put it way up in this thing. His name's already up there. His name's Justin Dismaris, I believe. He said he saw a cruiser do a U-turn and go back down Vining Street from where it just came from. He then heard a pop followed by what he estimates were 4 more pops and felt immediate pain to his head. He likened the feeling to being hit in the head with a baseball bat. He fell to the ground and heard someone say that he was shot. He survived the shooting. This is the autopsy. Reasonable to assume that at least one of the aforementioned wounds were probably the result of Gooden and St. Peter discharging their firearms at Root. Well, no, we know that one of them at least was. He was already bleeding when he got out of the fucking car. Evidence was recovered. A black Glock magazine with the initials JW containing 9 live cartridges. This is what they claim they found, guys. Okay? Problem with that is that's not what they found. Black Glock magazine. Okay? Cartridge with head stamp Spear 40S and W, Smith & Wesson. Glock 40 magazine with 15 live cartridges, Spear 40, Smith & Wesson. Brass-colored pendant, silver-colored piece of metal, gold-colored Kenneth Cole watch with a broken band, copper-jacketed projectile and fragments, copper-colored fragments, black right-handed glove. Black and red ninja throwing star, cartridge, 13 silver-colored discharged casings, 40 caliber Smith & Wesson, silver-colored earring, black cylindrical plastic piece, black spring, clear plastic tube. These are the pieces of his fake gun, by the way, guys, okay? B baseball cap, clear piece of barrel-shaped plastic, black Oakley sunglasses, 2 silver-colored pieces of a watch band, 7 black plastic pieces, black extendable baton, flashlight. I can't. Both officers discharged a firearm. St. Peter did so utilizing his department-issued Glock 40 caliber handgun. He discharged 10 times. Goodins was in possession of a department-issued Glock 40 caliber handgun. This firearm was not issued to him and was issued to another officer. Interesting. Okay. That Goodin's gun was not even issued to him. the serial number they had. The firearm was not issued to him, was issued to another officer. An investigation revealed that he had inadvertently taken possession of the weapon after a mix-up at a station lockup. A number of gun lockers outside the booking area at the Area B2 station could be opened with the same key. Apparently, either Gooden or another officer assessed the wrong locker, but the key worked, giving access. The mix-up resulted in Gooden having this Glock and another officer having possession of Gooden's department-issued Glock. How the fuck do you do that? Interesting. That just, oh, they just mix up their guns all the time. We didn't, make sure that the keys are different to every locker. They just open every fucking locker. Like, I don't know, something just is fishy as fuck there. He just happened to have someone else's Glock. Not his, but someone else's. Sounds kind of sketchy to me, just saying. I don't know, wow, that's just sketchy. Ballistics evidence reflects he discharged 5 times. The 2 live cartridges at the scene were microscopically examined and determined that they were ejected from the firearm in Gooden's attempt to clear his weapon when it jammed. The projectile recovered from Dismaris, that was the guy's head they took it from, was consistent with ammunition fired from Gooden and St. Peter's firearms. Given the video depiction of body position, angle, and direction, it is probable that one of Gooden's discharges resulted in the gunshot wound suffered by the fucking poor valet. The camera systems and video, the area is saturated by cameras viewing in all directions. Collectively, the cameras captured the entire incident. No, it didn't. Not the whole thing, but almost. The most relevant cameras were blah, 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 these ones. Timeline was established using the camera recordings, blah, blah, blah. I already read that earlier. All right. Again, that's the second part of, it's the first part of that download document. If I go back here, we'll go back to that part where the guy trips on his feet just to show you. Like, you can't fire a weapon that you don't have, right? So Justin didn't have a real weapon. There was no real weapon to fire. It's the part that fucking pisses me off. Is you can't fire from a weapon that isn't actually a real fucking weapon. All right, let's see. I don't know why this is so rainy. But this is Gooden, Officer Gooden. See how grainy it is? This is 8 minutes, of course, long.
I don't understand this, but I know I've been raped.
Also, if you guys are just getting here, I know there's, close to 200 of you on X watching, but you can pop over to YouTube and give the video a like. I'd very well appreciate it. Of course, if you'd like to support the channel, we are independently run, and we get by from the donations of all of you amazing people. So if you can donate to the channel, there are a bunch of different ways you can do so, including CashApp, Venmo, PayPal. We have an Amazon wish list. We also have a option for credit or debit. It is pinned in the top of the chat right now. It's also in the description of the video. You should be able to just click on it there. And you can enter any amount you want. You can use any credit or debit card. We also have, it's blurry as fuck. Why isn't this working? Oh, there we go. The wish list is now in the chat. All right. It is blurry, definitely blurry. And all of the options to donate, if you're catching me on the replay, are in the description of the video here on YouTube. All of the options exist there, including Chime, Revolut, for those of you out of country, our Cash App, our Venmo, our PayPal, and our link for credit and or debit. Sanchez says I need to get a crypto option, but I've never had crypto, so I don't even know how that shit works, to be honest.
By a rapist, right? And the thing
Hey,
is,
Ron, quick question for you. Have you had any wallets that
the
have
thing
been
is,
in the last
the
year?
guy is a rapist, right? And he thinks it's a big deal. He keeps bothering me. and kind of agitating me and taking things from me. And he's a god, and
He's a what?
he's a god, man. He's just crazy.
Okay.
And the thing is,
Did he follow you into the bathroom or something?
nah, I didn't. He's a man. He's a guy, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Well, if you...
I noticed that my wallet wasn't in my bag, in the bathroom.
Yeah.
So it could have, I don't know when it got stolen.
So let me ask you a question. Were you a patient here?
No, I wasn't a patient.
So why were you in the bathroom?
Using
the bathroom?
Right.
Okay.
And the thing is, the guy is crazy. He's a rapist, right? And he had got locked up before. And when he got locked up, he escaped. You understand? And they never caught him again. It's the same guy. He raped me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
what's his name?
His name is William.
William what?
William, I don't know his last name, but I don't want to tell the truth about his last name because I'm embarrassed. But the thing is, I just know his name is William. They call him William.
Okay.
William. That's all I can say for now. But the thing is, the guy he did this to a lady called Diana. Do you understand? You follow me? Princess Diana. The man is crazy.
He did this to Princess Diana?
Right.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
The man he raped me when I was a kid, and he thinks it's a big deal. And
Okay.
I done told this man.
Come on out here.
Hold on. He's the man to me. This is him right here, right? And he doesn't like me. I don't care if he likes me. This ain't about me.
Ma'am, let me ask you a question, and don't be offended. You take any psych meds or anything?
Yeah, I do take meds.
Okay.
I'm on
When
a
was the last?
shot.
Okay. When was the last time you took psych meds?
Psych meds?
Yeah.
Well, I
you seem
get
like
a shot.
You seem a little, like
Yeah,
saying.
because you don't understand. Last night.
No, well, I understand what you're saying, but when you say this guy raped Princess Diana, that's a little extreme.
No, that's
you understand what I'm saying?
You didn't follow me.
Okay. I'm following you.
No, you didn't. He did something to her before. A lady named Diana. Now, this lady Diana, I knew personally, right? And the thing is, I talked to Diana, so I know what happened to him. The guy raped kids, and I know he escaped a long time ago from jail.
And what was it?
And they never caught him.
Well, you know his name, so.
Yeah, I do know his name.
Well, why wouldn't you share that with me? If he escaped from jail, wouldn't you want to share that with me?
I'm embarrassed.
Why were you embarrassed?
Of his name.
I don't understand that.
And then, of course, they.
Be embarrassed to tell me that.
Because I kind of know.
Okay, let me ask you, where do you live?
I live in this area.
They cut the audio again.
But I'm embarrassed.
See, when the audio pops out,
now,
it's
first it was my jewelry, right, that got stolen, and I reported it last night. I went to A1.
A1? Yeah.
Right,
A1.
to report that my jewelry box was stolen.
Out of your room over here?
No. I was at the State House. I don't know. I left the bag, but I didn't notice it.
Okay. Stay right here for me, okay?
All right.
You guys get an on-call psych or something? Because she's just talking or something like.
Do you want to check her into the lake? I was going to say we could check her into the lake. I was going to say for her to see it.
What this shows me is clearly you can tell.
Okay. You know what? I'll walk her home and talk to them. Because she's just. I've never seen her, yeah. Okay. A psych patient? All right.
Do you have any idea what her name is?
Her what? No, I don't.
Okay, no worries. I'll call you right back. All right, thanks.
So why couldn't he understand that Just On clearly was having also a psych issue?
But they use that to make fish long search so I don't know who's who anymore. I think her name was like. Yeah, this is her, I'm pretty sure.
For what, a wallet?
Yeah,
she didn't lose her wallet. Yeah. She didn't lose anything.
No, she
How
came
do
here
you
to
know?
us before that she felt unsafe where she was staying because someone was stealing her money that she inherited out of her room or something.
She told me she went down to A1 last night to report someone stole her jewelry box.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna I'll walk her back over there.
How do
You
you
guys just keep
know
an eye on my
someone
car.
didn't steal your stuff, especially in group homes and things like that? People do steal your shit. Like,
Come on, you want to take a walk down where you live?
No, because I'm going this way.
Where you going?
Train.
You catching the train?
Right, I'm going to the State House. That's
The State House.
Where I go every day.
Okay. Do you want to see
No, I don't want to see anybody because I just got something from somebody. Just drop it for now.
Okay.
Because they beat up Bush, and Bush is my father.
Okay. Bush is your father.
Right. He is my father. I understand he's white, but that doesn't.
Well, listen. Come here. Come here.
What?
I'm a little concerned with the way you're speaking and the way you're talking. You're
concerned, and I'm concerned too about a lot of things. But the way I'm talking, I know what I'm talking about.
But it just
I'm
some
on
of the
shot.
Some of the statements you're making. Would you be willing to come in here in the ER and talk to somebody?
No, about what?
Well,
Bush, I get one shot a month, right? And the thing is, the guy stole my wallet, and there's a problem. You understand?
Yeah.
So I agitated because
well,
I had to.
I'm concerned.
I know what it does. I don't care about anybody being concerned. That was the argument. Because I hear somebody named God telling me that you're the man. You understand?
I'm the man.
Right.
So I know you don't want to hurt yourself or anything?
And my father is Vinny. So don't go there.
Who's Vinny?
My father is Vinny. That's all I'm saying to y'all.
Okay.
And he's white.
Let me just ask you a question,
anything you want. I am this color. But I was born
white,
to
black,
two white
I don't care,
what nobody believes.
I'm not concerned with what color you are.
I'm concerned. Right now I'm getting agitated again.
Okay, all right.
But I'm on a shot, 800 milligrams.
Yeah.
So I don't need medication. I already have my shot.
Okay.
That's not the problem. The problem is my wallet that was stolen by rapists. And he think it's a big deal, but I don't. I don't know if you follow me, but it's not a big deal to me. And I'm leaving. I'm going back up there where I go every day.
All right, if you want to come in B2, okay?
Yeah, I'll do it. I got 3 reports tonight.
All right.
That was frustrating to watch. So this is part of the clip that they give him. He shuts off his camera here, right? Now, this is an interaction that he has with someone who clearly has some mental health issues going on. That's hard to watch because he clearly is not trained in knowing how to deal with anyone with mental health concerns. That's not the way you do it. Talking over them and all that, like, you just get them more agitated. It's not the fucking way you do it. Not even a little bit. So then we have, they have the body worn camera, right? On the 6th, same day, in front of the thing. This is Gooden's camera, right? Now, he's wearing a camera there, as you can see. Where is the camera? You have him at the cruiser, right? Now, they are the ones who included this body worn camera. So he's got body worn camera there. Why isn't it on at all? Like, first of all, the fact that they have to push a button to turn it on is deeply concerning to me to begin with. It should be on at all times. It's because they don't want to pay for holding the video storage, so they expect them to push a button when something's happening. Well, that shouldn't have to happen. This is outside, okay? This is the corner right here where it happens. See all the people? There's people. Again, plenty of foot traffic, plenty of people everywhere. There's just on. He's pointing them that way. It's clear to me that he thinks he's a part of this, right? I guess when you are trained in mental health, these are things that you can spot easily. It's not that he's running from them. It's not that he's trying to elude them. It's what he thinks in his mind, what he believes. This is why all officers should have a mental health person working with them. He runs past this lady. This lady just stands there. And she's, you know, taking cover. See him? He's like pointing that way as if someone's that way. Like he's not understanding fully what's going on. That's half the problem. Okay? The fact that they can't recognize this is part of the issue. Some hobbling, I'm assuming. Boston PD gets back in his cruiser from B2, takes off, to follow him. This is the rear door near the Shapiro building. It's on for another minute, but there isn't really much here to after that. Come outside. See these people here. Come outside the door. So again, there's not really much more after this. This is just plays the video out, but this one. Outside. PwC, which is where we was watching. So this camera magically goes dark right before said shooting. Interesting, huh? Magically goes dark right before. That tell you. Camera should be on at all times. It shouldn't go black right before shooting. Either that or, I don't know, the footage is there and just magically blacked out. Should get audio in a few seconds. Yeah. It's a 5-minute video. Where's the audio? Or they blacked it out. Just firing. Okay, he's moving. He has no gun. They broke it at the other place, the fake gun. She's just now covering her gun. Magically, it's black while shooting. Interesting, isn't it? Still got a firearm, he says. He doesn't have a firearm. He has no firearm. Something suspicious about the fact that it just magically goes black right as the shooting's happening. Either they blacked it out or she covered it. He's in a bush. Okay? He's in a fucking bush. Why is it covered again? We should see the ground. Her jacket shouldn't move it over the middle of a body camera. Not underneath him. There's no firearm. There's no firearm. I wish this was a little bit blurred. It's not. Get him the fuck out of here. Get who? Oh, a guy with a camera. That was the guy with the camera we showed the clip of the other day. He threatened the guy. He's going to arrest him. Oh, arrest him. You can't. You're worried about breathing? You just fired 30 rounds at someone who's now dead, and you're worried about you. Maybe, just maybe, y'all should know that there was no gun. That's why you didn't find one. Didn't have one. Nobody's giving first aid. Not that there was any first aid that probably could have been given, but still, no one's giving first aid. They're all just standing there while he's in a bush. It might be hard to watch, but it's necessary. Says something about a fake firearm, but they don't find a firearm on him. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry, guys.
It's shot fire. We're good. I did.
Who shot?
We shot.
Say no.
Just you?
Take a deep breath, right?
Not to respond to reply feedback. Victor, I It's a 16 Fleetwood Road. I got it. I don't want to talk to you with that.
Let me do it.
Wondering if she's okay. What about the guy you guys just fucking put 31 rounds into?
Bravo, all putting on.
She turns it off. But the point is magically, right at the time that he is shot, this is the second camera that just hasn't happened to see all the shots. You can hear them all, but magically doesn't happen to see it, right? First of all, body worn camera should never be obstructed. The whole point of it being in the middle of the chest is so that it's not obstructed even when your arms are out. So why, in now 2 instances of videos that I've shown, okay, do we have it going black on 2 separate officers in this scenario? Is what I would like to fucking know, number one. Number two, I have often, in a lot of different clips that I've watched of different things, watched the cops cover their camera on purpose, shut it off, press the button to shut it off, tell people, oh, it's still recording, things like that. First of all, obstructing the camera at all on purpose should be a fireable offense. Completely. A fireable fucking offense. You know, it just should. It's not acceptable by any stretch of the imagination. Well, right now it's off. Right now it's black. That's the end of it. See, that was the end of this clip. She shut it off. But my point is that obstructing the video at all should be a very large issue, because now we see, even with departments that have body worn cameras, oftentimes cops will just put their hand in front of it or their arm in front of it on purpose to block the camera from seeing what's happening. I've seen it happen a billion times. At what point does this become a serious issue with obstructing? We've had other departments all over the country say that if their officers obstruct the cameras, it's a fireable offense, immediate fireable offense. That needs to happen here as well in Massachusetts. There's far too many instances of cops, covering it up, covering the camera so you can't see it, moving their arm in the way on purpose, making sure the camera's blocked by something, an object that they see. It happens way too often for it to be accidental, right? It's definitely on purpose. And in this instance, we now have 2 cameras that magically didn't see exactly what happened, other than knowing that 31 shots went off. They as you can see, they try to roll him over and say that the gun must be underneath him. Now, I'll mind you that right before they shoot him, they claim it's on top of him. And in the other video we watched, the guy's like, oh, don't draw his fire, don't draw his fire. Draw his fire, he's got no weapon. Oh, it's got to be underneath him. They roll him, there's nothing underneath him. Why? Because they broke his plastic fake weapon way back at the hospital. They found the pieces of it on the ground. So y'all shot 31 shots into a man who was already on the ground bleeding with no weapon. Because you assumed there was a weapon. Did you see a weapon? No, you didn't. You sure fucking didn't. You didn't have one, so you couldn't have seen something you didn't have, right? That was broken in front of friggin' women's. That's the last clip I'm going to play for today. I have to go. My little is home from school. I love your stinking faces, per usual. I'll see you guys tomorrow. But in the meantime, if y'all could do me a favor and hit that like button. If you haven't gotten yourself a membership like Rando here did, make sure you get yourself a membership to the channel. We're going to be doing a lot more membership stuff really soon that I've been working on. So we'll be doing a lot of that soon. If you can, we are an independent channel. We rely on the kindness of all of you to make sure that we can bring stories like these to light that don't ever really see the light. And for various reasons that people don't want to cover them. And I think this one's a tough one because of the mental health aspect, but it deserves this attention. It deserves an independent investigation, not cops and DAs investigating themselves and their own cops. It deserves an independent investigation because a lot of things went wrong here. A lot of things went wrong here. Yeah, well, I mean, they're taught to like shut it off once the thing isn't happening anymore. But in reality, once there's an officer shooting that you're involved in, that camera shouldn't go off until you're back at the station. They should get every reaction from you after it happens, down to you having to talk to and give a statement, in my opinion. But they're taught to shut it off after the event happens, which shouldn't once again happen, but they don't want to pay. They don't want to pay to have all of the stuff saved, all the data saved on the cameras. So that's another thing, is they shouldn't have to press a button to turn it on. Because often they won't turn it on until after the event happens, just saying, oh, there wasn't time. I didn't think about it. I was too, and that's not a good excuse. It should be on from the time you start your fucking shift until the time your shift ends, period. But again, that's money, and they don't want to pay for storing the data. So that's part of the problem. We have a bunch of different ways that you can help support the channel. The only way we bring stories like these, and the only way we go over stories like these, which we got a bunch more on this one that we'll start covering a little bit more of tomorrow, is from the kindness of all of you. So even if you're catching me on the replay, a donation to the channel means a lot. We're a small channel, so we rely on all of you guys and the kindness that you guys bring, and it's very well appreciated. I'm extremely grateful, but I got to push a little for our channel, because this case is a big one and it's a long one and it's going to take a while. I'm still waiting for other documents that I requested, and all that costs time and money, unfortunately. So if you can, we have a bunch of different ways. You can subscribe, that's free. You can hit the like button, that's free. You can share the channel with people, that's free. If there are people you know that want to really delve into this case, just tell them we exist, right? Tell them that we're going over the case so that they know where to go. We have other ways to support the channel, like CashApp, Venmo, PayPal. We have an Amazon wish list all in the description of the video, our Chime, our Revolut, and then we have a link for credit or debit. It's pinned in the chat. It's also in the description of the video here on YouTube. I love your stinking faces. I will see you guys tomorrow, and everybody have an amazing day. Justice for Justin.